and their burdens may appear to be a bit different from all of ours, but it is incumbent upon us to carry those burdens because we're in a position to make things happen for them. So with that said, I ask everyone to support it. Mr. Chairman, great job. Commissioner Regalado, great job. To the administration, great job. And to everybody who had a hand in this and pushing this issue forward, great job, and have a great one.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Commissioner from District 12, you're recognized.
I'll be brief, but ditto to everything that all of you have said. First of all, I'd like to start by saying that thank you to Commissioner Gonzalez for making a reference to Mr. T. We may never hear it again on this dais, but thank you very much. And of course, the mayor and the administration for the great job they've done pushing this item and these ideas. Commissioner Regalado, obviously, for her effort to push this forward. And you, Mr. Chairman, for making sure that we codified the concerns that many had, which is important as we move forward. And the word metrics and accountability are always very near and dear to my heart, whatever we discuss. So thank you very much. But I did want to take a personal point of privilege to thank Judge Leifman. Steve, I was a young mayor of a brand new city when I met him, and he had this idea. And he came and said, I got this idea that could change the way things, the way we deal with a very serious issue. So I know it's a legacy of love, and I'm glad for that it's a legacy of love. But I want to thank him publicly because he's answered every question. His persistence has been critical. His ability to answer all our questions and the public's questions has been critical. And he's never shied from, and I remember when I got elected in 2022, I found myself touring the facility with Judge Leifman. And it's been a long time. His hair had grayed, mine had been gone. But nevertheless, I want to thank him publicly because it shows, and I said this earlier, that we can do well for ourselves and do good for the community. And when there are community leaders like Mr. Leifman, then that sends an optimistic message to the future of Miami-Dade County. And I'm glad that we're talking about this serious issue, and I'm glad that the word empathy is not a bad word. It's a good word in this community. But I want to thank you, Steve, because I remember when you started this fight, it was a long time ago, and your persistence and insistence on doing good for the community and never, ever, ever giving up, even when it didn't look like things would go your way, is something that I want to thank publicly because all of us on this dais and others in Miami-Dade County and the citizens of Miami-Dade County and even visitors probably will benefit from your foresight. So thank you again for, and the standard that's been set, I think will be followed by others across the country. And I know that we may not get to see it as clearly as we see it today in the future, but I'm sure they have. So thank you again for fighting. And you know, I guess you are like Rocky, you know, but I just don't want to see another sequel, okay? We're voting today. This is it.
A commissioner from District 2, you recognize. Oh, yep, you are.
So we've heard so many praises for Judge Leifman. Now I'm talking to all the young leaders who are watching this morning, this afternoon rather. How did he do it? How did he do it? I've known him since I was in graduate school at FIU. 1987. That's when I graduated. And then I followed his parcours, French or path, over the years. And in terms of this item, imagine you've had most of the important stakeholders in this community calling you. I know, colleagues, you've experienced it, right? You have business people calling you. You have mental health professionals calling you. You have other elected officials from other cities calling you. How does he do it? He's never angry. He's come here, he's been under the fire, and he's remained collected, calm, sometimes so passionate that he can't wait to answer, and sometimes he says too much. Like the last time I said, "Come on, Judge, calm down, calm down." And my chief of staff, Winnie Dargy, told me, "Commissioner, it's because he's so excited, he's so believed in what he's doing." The question is, how does he do it? He's killed all of us softly with his love and compassion for others. That's what he's done. He's killed us with his love and compassion. Judge Leifman, thank you, and I'd like my colleagues and everybody to stand up. There is a Creole proverb: you don't wait for the person to die to give him his flowers. Give him his flowers today. Let us stand up to give Judge Steve Leifman his flowers.
Thank you, Commissioner, for those words. And as I get ready to call the vote, I just want to say, and echoing a little bit of what Commissioner Bastien just said, but I'm gonna go in a little different direction, is we've praised a lot of the folks in this room for their hard work, and sure enough, we've all worked tirelessly. I know I have, my staff, the administration, Regalado staff, many other commissioners here, as well as Judge Leifman, the justice system, the chief judge and her team, Jackson's team. I mean, we've all worked tirelessly, but the vote that I'm about to call isn't really for us. It's for all the residents of Miami-Dade County that have loved ones, family members, friends that have or have suffered with mental illness, with substance abuse, and the justice system has not served them because we have not had the right mechanisms and tools to do so. So to all of those who have felt that this issue touches them personally and is near and dear to their heart, and it's personal, as some of my colleagues shared today, and of course Commissioner Cohen-Higgins sharing that very personal story, this vote that I anticipate will be favorable is for all of you guys. With that, it has been moved. Its item and his item and the substitute item has been moved and seconded. And with that,
Point of order.
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
I'm about to call the vote for.
I know, but very quickly, there's just one name that hasn't been mentioned that I think is deserving of mention. She was here at the beginning. She's a former commissioner, a dear friend of us all. I think Commissioner Sally Heyman deserves a thank you as
Yes,
well.
I was literally going to say that after the vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Heyman.
Many champions and leaders, but this is all done for those that are personally affected. So with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show the item officially passed. Congratulations, guys. Thank you all, and for those that were here on this very sensitive and important topic and item, please exit quietly. Guys, please exit quietly. We have a lot. All right,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner.
can I just say something to Commissioner Steinberg, because Rocky's trainer was Mickey.
That's the whole point, yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted her to get the recognition because she's, she needs to get that.
She definitely
Good.
grounds me. She
Yeah,
definitely
she
grounds
definitely-
me.
I'm ready to run through a door like Rocky right now for
But
our trainer,
Mickey keeps us, So, all right, guys, again, please exit quietly. And congratulations to everyone that was here in favor of this item. In fact, I don't think I had anybody here opposing it, so congratulations again. Judge, I think people will follow your lead as soon as you exit. Judge Leifman, I think people are going to follow your lead as soon as you exit. All right. I have, if the attorneys can, before we get into first readings and the rest of the agenda, I have a motion that I'd like to make, and I just didn't want to make it at the end. I wanted you all to have the opportunity to not be rushed at the end when everybody wants to go home, and if there's questions, I suspect there might be, we can get into it. If the county attorney can read my motion, and then I'm happy to explain it if need be.
Absolutely. Chairman Rodriguez moves to allocate legally available tourist development tax revenues, or, if necessary, other legally available funding in a total amount not to exceed $1.3 million from the fiscal year 25-26 county budget to the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, Inc., to be used to undertake a feasibility study to support the United States bid to host the 2035 World Expo in Miami-Dade County, Florida, and authorizes and directs the county mayor or mayor's designee to execute a grant agreement with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau for such purposes.
Second.
I will second
I'll
that,
second
and
it.
I'd like to co-sponsor that. That is awesome, Chair. That is awesome.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, like, I accept the co-sponsorship, but it's a motion. I don't know how that works, but yes. Okay, you could co-sponsor a motion? All right. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. Commissioner Hardiman.
Can you explain where this money is coming from? I hear you say tourist development tax dollars. Is there, what entity is actually that money coming from the budget from? Like, help explain that a little bit more. Because we have TDCs, TDTs, we have all kinds of TD supplements. So I want to be clear of which pot is coming from.
Commissioner, I'm going to let the administration provide you greater detail, but my understanding is that they have money available in the Tourist Development Tax Reserve account, and those are bed taxes that the county collects.
That's correct.
Director.
As a follow-up. So that fund is different from the funds of money that comes from the TDC.
That's correct, sir. It does not come from TDC.
Commissioner Bermudez, you're recognized.
I'm supportive of the item, but I've got a question, because the Marlins Stadium, one of the greatest fiascos of this county's history that led to the recall, what the largest recall in the nation at the time, and still one of the largest, was in part from some of these dollars, was it not?
A portion of the tourist development tax proceeds do go towards funding the professional sports facilities debt service.
At some point, I hope you give us a report, because those of us who were not on the dais at the time but opposed what was, I believe, a not necessary expense, and it doesn't matter to me that the person that sat in this seat or in my district seat voted for it, limits a lot of the things that we can do in the future. So I hope at some point you give us a report, especially now that times are going to be fiscally tough, on where we are on repaying that ridiculous debt that ends up costing over $1 billion for a baseball stadium. And I'm a big sports fan. But I think we need to know, because we're the ones that inherited this. And this limits some of the things that we can do because of the decisions that were made prior to us. And at the very least, we need to know where we are on some of these things.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner from District 2, you're recognized.
Please, Mr. Chair, first of all, I'm going to support this, but can you give some details about the World Expo? What would it consist of and benefit to the county? And number two, how much money, maybe this is for the administration, how much money is there in the TDT?
So we're specifically talking about the surplus reserve. We budget the TDT at 95%, similar to the way we do the property tax roll. So as of right now, based on the current year's projections, we believe we have about 2.7 million in excess that we'll have in the current year. And that's where we found the capacity to be able to do this.
As we speak, there are 2 million in the TDT tax fund? Is that what I'm hearing? Or
In the tourist development tax surplus reserve.
over 2 million?
Yes.
Okay.
And Commissioner, let me kind of give you some, you and all others. So we were selected by the U.S. government to host the World Expo on behalf of the U.S. And by that means, we weren't selected by the host committee. We were selected by the administration, the federal government, to apply to see if we're granted this, if we're selected by the World Expo Committee. And we haven't done this the U.S. has not participated in decades. There is not enough FIFAs, there is not enough championship games, Super Bowls, that we can count in our lifetime that will equal the economic impact that shall selected the World Expo will bring to South Florida, and really to Florida and the U.S. We're talking of an economic impact anywhere from $15 billion to $40 billion. This is a 6-month event that will have an excess of 40 million visitors throughout those 6 months. The amount of job creation is astronomical. I have numbers from similar other World Expos that they have had, where jobs during the planning and construction could be upwards of 50,000 to 100,000 jobs. Temporary event jobs could be between 20 to 50,000, and then thousands of permanent jobs through legacy redevelopment and business attractions. When the World Expo comes, if selected, and they are looking at South Miami-Dade as a site because they need several hundred acres of contiguous acres. And if selected, they come and they essentially build an entire city. They put infrastructure. If they need to build hospitals, they will. If they need to build or expand an airport, they will. Metro rail systems. I mean, the infrastructure that they come and build at their expense and leave behind when the expo is finished is just there's not enough that we can say. Many iconic monuments and things that you've enjoyed in the past and have seen throughout Europe and the country and different countries have come as a result of the World Expo, one of them being the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The Eiffel Tower was built as a result of the World Expo many years ago. So it is that level of impact. I'm going to be honest, when I was reached out actually by Secretary Rubio directly, who called me on this, I had no idea what the World Expo was about. I had not heard about it. I did not know the impacts of it. So I have a commitment in front of me from Secretary Rubio's office and his deputy secretary as well, Deputy Secretary Landau, saying that Miami-Dade County will be the only one submitting for this application on behalf of the U.S., which gives us the greatest chances of winning this, and we're not competing amongst ourselves with any other state or any other part of Florida, which that was my number one thing. If we were going to put some seed money into this for the evaluation of it, but for the feasibility study that's required, I did not want to be competing certainly with no one else in the state of Florida, like Orlando or Tampa, and also, but it's even better that we're not competing with any other state within the U.S. So the U.S. government and the Secretary's office has agreed to submit the application in conjunction with us. They've hired the best team that has won this for other countries, such as they just won it for Saudi Arabia recently. And that is the same team that will be completing our application here locally. So I think we have the best chances of actually winning the 2035 World Expo for Miami-Dade County. Commissioner Hardiman, you're recognized.
Do we know who is actually going to be the ones conducting the study? Like, who are we spending this money with?
It is, yes, we do. The name, I don't know if we have it, if the administration has it, but yes, it is the same company that they've used to do the feasibility study for the last few World Expos in the places that they've won. And it was recommended by the group that's managing this at the federal level. It's not like a local company.
Is it a part of the motion? Like how the motion doesn't identify that, so how do we guarantee?
That might be a good point to identify it. I don't know if we need to because it'll be contracted through the GMCVB. Maybe that's why it's not in the motion. But I think if we can include it and we have that information.
You're correct, Mr. Chair. It wasn't included because the county's giving the money to the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they would be entering into the contract. But if the administration has the name of the company, we can always add that in if that is the board's preference.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's safe. I trust that the GMCVB is going to contract with an adequate consulting company or feasibility company, but it would be fine with me.
Yes, sir. If you'll give me a minute, I need to look up the name again.
Sure. All right.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification purpose, so you said that it will last 6 months.
The
Is
total
this
expo.
the infrastructure, or there will be 6 months activities?
No, so the infrastructure will take years. It'll take 7 years to build. The 6 months is the actual expo itself. So rather than it be a weekend, a week, or a month, it's a 6-month expo. It lasts 6 months, and they build, I mean, tremendous infrastructure, and then every country participates, or most every country participates. For the first time, one of the wishes of the federal government, and I think they have the buy-in, is that in the U.S., not only will we be participating as the hosting county, but they want every state within the U.S. to also have presence here for the 6 months of the expo. So it'll be the largest in the history of the World Expo if we're selected. Yeah. You got it?
Sir, I have Holder Partners as the name of the firm.
Sounds about right. I mean, I trust that that's it. All right, so just amend it to show that the GMCVB will engage with Holder Partners on this feasibility study. All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded, and seeing no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. So the motion passed with all the co-sponsors. All right, Vice Chair, I understand you may have a similar.
Yes, Mr.
Similar, but you have a motion as well that you want to do at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask the county attorney to read this motion.
Commissioner McGee is moving on behalf of Senator Garcia. Senator Garcia moves to allocate legally available tourist development tax surplus reserve revenues in an amount not to exceed $500,000 from the fiscal year 2025-2026 county budget to DBE, Miss USA LLC, DBA, Miss USA organization, to be used for eligible costs associated with hosting the 2026 Miss USA competition in Miami-Dade County, Florida, and further moves to authorize and direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to negotiate and execute a grant agreement with the grantee for such purpose.
And colleagues, this is an item, I'm, moving on behalf of Senator Rene Garcia.
She's my queen to be.
All right, so it's been moved by the Vice Chair.
I just have a quick
Second or questions?
question. I have a question.
Okay, so second by Commissioner Gilbert, and then Commissioner Regalado, you're recognized.
Yeah, I mean, just from Ray, like, how much money are we talking? Because we're drawing on this fund, and I would like to know. I'm all in for the expo. I think that I mean, it's a feasibility study, so, and nothing against the pageant, but I just want to know kind of how much money are we talking about, and where would that get swept if we don't have these motions? Where does it go? To just stay in the account and then?
Right. For this motion, we were looking at the same pot of money that we discussed for the Expo 2035, the TDT surplus reserve, based on our projections for the current year, and that we budgeted at 95%. So we do have some capacity there to accommodate the Expo 2035 and the Miss USA.
What's the number, Ray?
About 2.7.
Okay, so that's what you have.
Yes.
And then how much is this costing?
So far, between these two motions, that's 1.8.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Gilbert.
Yeah, I'll support the item. Ray, I was curious. I know we only budget at 95%. Are the numbers or projected numbers higher than we thought they were going to be this year?
For this year, we are seeing better results on the TDT, likely because of World Cup coming in.
I just want you to say that. That's it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I just want you to say that. I just want everybody to hear that. Just that one, that was it right there.
Right.
Sometimes we don't connect the dots, but when we make decisions about things like the World Cup, the argument is always, hey, you know what, it drives in money. Well, it does drive in money because it drives in occupancies. People come, that's what happens. That's the economy of large-scale events coming to your community. And so we don't have the conversation on the back end where we connect the dots so that people see that we actually use that money to do things, help organizations in some instances. Some instances we use it to draw other big things here. And so I think that probably we should consider a longer term conversation about how we actually have a set pool of money that we use to actually see these type of big events because we know we need those big events to come. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show that motion passed. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we are on these floor motions, I have a floor motion, and Commissioner Gilbert just raised FIFA. I have a motion, if the attorneys will read it, as it pertains to FIFA. And it's my understanding that the contract that the host committee signed with the county already has language in it that says, to the extent that there is any overage, i.e. money that you all have not found necessary to spend, we need you all to give it back to the county. But at the time that that contract was signed, that was in advance of our FIFA host committee, who, by the way, is doing an amazing job. If you all have not been to FIFA Fan Fest at Bayfront Park, it really is an extraordinary experience for families and soccer fans everywhere. But that agreement was signed in advance of a $70 million grant from the federal government that, it's my understanding, allows them to have quite a bit of overage that we need here as we prepare for our budget. So if the attorneys can read my motion.
Excuse me, one second. May I interrupt for 1 second? We still have an agenda, right? Because I know we got a lot of motions that are just popping up.
We haven't even
People
got
are
an
waiting.
agenda.
I'm
We
not
haven't even
trying to
started
not
first reading.
How does he say it? Taylor Swift, you got the best album of all time. Like, how does it go? I don't know. Kanye West interrupted, but
All right.
I apologize for
All right,
interrupting.
Taylor Swift, you can
I'm gonna let them-
continue.
I just don't want us to continue on down this line.
You can continue, Taylor.
Yeah.
Or Beyonce. All right. Can the attorneys read the motion, please?
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins moves to direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to recapture all eligible county funds from Greater Miami Sports Commission, Inc., Sports Commission in accordance with the county's agreement with the Sports Commission dated September 23rd, 2025, providing funding support in the amount of $21 million to fund direct expenses associated with the 2026 FIFA World Cup and to review all relevant documentation pertaining to the recapture for accuracy and completeness. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins further moves to direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to provide a report to this board within 30 days after said agreement's expiration or termination regarding such directives and to place the completed report on agenda of the full board without committee review pursuant to Rule 5.06J of the board's rules of procedure.
Mr. Chair. Yep. Yep.
I'll second it.
Thank you. And just to staff to clarify something, my understanding is that when we entered into this agreement, the sheriff's department was still under the county. And when we did our budget, there was money that we had to give to police for FIFA. I remember we went around and around on that. The money that FIFA received from the federal government was for policing. So I don't think there's necessarily like a clawback, because whatever money we get back from the sheriff goes back into the pot, just like any other constitutional officer if we get back, and then we start the budget again. So Ray, if you could just explain, because I know it's gotten a little complicated by the constitutional officers and that accounting.
Ray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for the host committee piece, the county gave the host committee approximately $21 million. I don't know at this time yet how much might be coming back from that. I expect that they'll probably expend their full amount. On the county side, we budgeted $25 million in kind for policing and other activities, including emergency management, transportation, and whatnot. The $73.6 million that was awarded by the federal government, only a portion of that is going to the host committee for Miami-Dade County government. I believe it's approximately $30 million, and that's for the sheriff's grant for policing. So if that funding covers the entirety of what we were budgeting on the county side, we theoretically should have up to $25 million in additional funding that we don't have to spend on the sheriff, meaning we would have it to hopefully plug the hole in the general fund going into the 26-27 budget.
Right. I just wanted to clarify that because it's a little complicated because it's in kind to the sheriff, but then we have the obligation to the sheriff. And then obviously we have conversations during the budget process with the sheriff on how much they're going to give us back that they haven't spent and how much we owe them as a result of in-kind. So I just think we have to be a little careful with like the clawback language, because I don't really think that that's what's happening in this situation. So, Ray, do you have any changes to the motion, or do you have any concerns about, because I think they're different.
Could you read the motion again?
Wait.
Sorry.
Wait. I don't think Ray has the ability to change a motion.
No, I'm asking for his concerns on the motion in terms of the buckets.
Okay. Ray, do you have any concerns about the motion?
Through the chair, we would like to hear it again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Attorney, please reread the motion.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins moves to direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to recapture all eligible county funds from the Greater Miami Sports Commission, Inc., in accordance with the county's agreement with the Sports Commission dated September 23rd, 2025, providing funding support in the amount of $21 million to fund certain expenses associated with the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and to review all relevant documentation pertaining to the recapture for accuracy and completeness. The commissioner further moves to direct the county mayor or mayor's designee to provide a report to this board within 30 days after said agreement's expiration or termination regarding such directives, and to place the completed report on an agenda of the full board without committee review pursuant to Rule 5.06J of the board's rules of procedure.
All right, now that you've reheard it,
My only thoughts would be expand it not just to the host committee, but to all funds that were allocated to FIFA, whether it be by the county or given directly to the host committee. And other than that, I'm fine.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm speaking with the attorneys. I would appreciate the motion that I wanted read to be read, because it addresses the issue that my colleagues are bringing up now. It's my understanding that there's $25 million in potential recapture of funds. The way that that motion was just read speaks to only the $21 million in cash contribution, not the aggregate $60 million of in-kind contribution, which is where we are recovering and have the opportunity to recover. So to the extent that we can get a motion that is clear on those issues, so that we have the opportunity to recapture the $25 million that we need, that's the motion that I would like for my colleagues to entertain. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Gilbert.
Do you want me to read it?
Well, actually, hold that thought. Yes, read the motion that.
We have a second motion that would address Commissioner Cohen-Higgins'
So
concern.
then read that one.
Okay. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins moves to direct the county mayor, as part of her proposed county budget for fiscal year 26-27, to separately and clearly identify the amount of funds that are anticipated to remain unused and thereby available for carryover in fiscal year 26-27 budget out of the $25,155,000 in funds from the fiscal year 25-26 county budget in-kind services reserve, previously anticipated to be used to support public safety expenses associated with the FIFA World Cup matches to be held in Miami-Dade County, and to reallocate said carryover funds to the general fund and specify specifically where those monies are going for carryover.
All right, is that it? Yeah. All right, so there's a motion. Is that the new motion? Yeah. All right, so that's the new motion, seconded by Commissioner Orbis.
Yeah, because it includes in-kind. Right. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So,
Yeah.
all right, so I got Gilbert, and then, or unless Gilbert is still marinating on it.
I'm very comfortable with the motion. What they're trying to determine is, because I'm the board's designee on the host committee, they're trying to determine whether I have to recuse myself.
Right.
Oh, okay. So,
But I don't have this, I'm not, that's the question.
In abundance of caution, just do it.
all right. All right, Commissioner Bermudez, you're recognized.
Yeah, I support the motion, and
Gonzalez.
certainly. But can we, moving forward, as Commissioner Hardeman made reference, with these last-minute motions, if we know they're coming up and we know the attorneys are going to get them, can we get a copy of it before? And it's nothing personal. It's just, I think it's the best way to do business on this dais. So, and I'm supportive of the motion, but I'd like to, collegiality requires that we be collegial. So it would be great if we could get these things beforehand. Mr. Chair, that's the only thing I would say.
Understood. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so with that, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the motion passed. All right. Now, where was I? Where's my stuff? Oh, here it is. All right, now we'll get into first reading items. Right? Is that in order?
Mr. Chair, we're going to call, oh, Oliver's coming back. Just come back, Oliver.
Yes.
Oliver's coming back. We're ready.
Mr. Chair, would you like, I'll read them all.
Please read all the first reading items, yes.
Or is an ordinance relating to operation of micro-mobility devices, electric bicycles, and motorized scooters in the incorporated and unincorporated areas of the county, recreating Section 2-98.3 of the code, providing regulations for operation of micro-mobility devices, electric bicycles, and motorized scooters on rights-of-way, providing for legislative intent, applicability, and definitions, providing mechanism for municipal enforcement of regulations, providing for enforcement by civil penalty, providing severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. 4B is an ordinance authorizing issuance of not to exceed $350 million Miami-Dade County, Florida Transit System Sales Surtax Revenue Bonds pursuant to Section 208 of Ordinance Number 0548 as amended for paying costs of certain transportation and transit projects, providing that details, terms, and other matters relating to such bonds, including without limitation the ability to issue such bonds as drawdown bonds under a drawdown bond program, be determined in subsequent resolutions, authorizing undertaking of transit and transportation projects and People's Transportation Plan, authorizing and directing county officers and agents to take all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this ordinance, and ordinance number 0548 as amended, and providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. 4C is an ordinance creating Section 8-9 of the code, requiring the mayor designee to develop and implement a same-day permitting program for certain permit applications for certain residential projects and to provide reports every 6 months, providing severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. 4D is an ordinance authorizing issuance of Miami-Dade County Capital Asset Acquisition Special Obligation Bonds from time to time in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $380 million for purpose of acquiring, constructing, and improving, renovating, and/or equipping certain capital assets and/or projects, providing that details of said bonds be determined in one or more series resolutions, providing for severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. 14A2 is an ordinance approving, adopting, and ratifying non-ad valorem assessment rolls, rates, and assessments for the solid waste collection service area of Miami-Dade County, commencing October 1, 2026, providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date. And 14A3 is an ordinance relating to the Rapid Transit System Development Zone, amending Section 33C-2 of the code, amending the Metro Mover subzone of the Rapid Transit Zone to add certain private property, providing severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. Those are your first reading items. I do have requests to bifurcate item 14A2.
All right, so we have a bifurcation on, which one is it?
It was 14A2, Commissioner Milian and Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Okay. Well, this is first reading, so, all right. So will someone move any other bifurcations? Will someone move the remainder of the agenda? It's been moved. Was it Commissioner Regalado? Seconded by Commissioner Bastien. And clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bastien. Yes. Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
4.
Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Hardiman.
Just for clarification, this is ordinance for first reading, correct?
First reading.
4.
Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Milian Orbis. Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Steinberg. Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, is there a motion on 14A2? I'll entertain a motion on 14A2. Commissioner Regalado moves it, seconded by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Clerk, please call the roll. Or is that a voice vote? Roll call?
Roll
Clerk,
call.
please call the roll.
Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
4.
Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Hardiman. Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Milian Orbis. Commissioner Regalado.
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg. Commissioner Bastien. Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, Madam Attorney, is in order to take up public hearing items at this time?
Yes.
Can you go ahead and read them?
5A is a resolution declaring certain county-owned property as surplus and revising the inventory list of real properties to include such property, authorizing conveyance of such property for the purpose of developing such property with affordable housing to be rented to very low or moderate income households. 5D is a resolution approving the waiver of plat of HH 7640 LLC. 5E is a resolution approving the plat of Heritage South filed by Miami-Dade County. 5F is a resolution approving the plat of Silver Park, and 5G is a resolution approving the plat of Airport West. Those are your public hearing items.
All right, do I have any bifurcations? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, through the chair, excuse me, just to confirm, no speaker cards? These are public
Oh,
hearings?
yes, sorry, I have none. I have no speaker card, so public hearing is open and public hearing is closed. I have a motion to move all of the public hearing items by Commissioner Regalado. I have a second by Commissioner Bastian. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the public hearing items passed. Madam Attorney, can we get into second readings?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you have just one ordinance for second reading and a couple commissioners who wish to discuss. It is 7A, ordinance relating to the Infill Housing Initiative Program, amending Section 17-124 of the code to limit the number of extensions and time that may be granted to developers under the Miami-Dade County Infill Housing Initiative Program, providing severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. Mr. Chair, you have a corresponding item, 11A4, that's on the pull list. Would you like to take that up with this item?
Well, I'll take them up together.
Okay, then it's item 7A and 11A4. Commissioners Bermudez and Bastian had requested to discuss 7A.
All right, Commissioner from District 2, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been committed to using every tool at our disposal to end the affordable housing crisis in Miami-Dade County, and infill housing represents an important tool for the county, giving developers the opportunity to bring units online that are more affordable for rent and for sale. I have said previously that despite this tool being a powerful one and a useful and powerful one, there are changes of the program that are needed. However, I want to be sure that making such changes will not negatively impact developers who wish to build infill housing in our districts. I have a friendly amendment that I'd like to ask Mr. Attorney to read.
Commissioner Bastian had moved a motion at your last meeting related to 7A, which I believe the chair accepted. So the only amendment I believe that you have, Commissioner Bastian, is to 11A4, which is Commissioner Bastian moves to amend item 11A4 to clarify that the delays that are caused beyond the developer's control and delays caused by extraordinary circumstances include those caused by the county or other governmental entities and lawsuits that may affect the timely completion of the development of affordable housing to be constructed on county-owned property. I believe a copy of the motion has been shared with the commission, and in the copy that has been shared, the strikeouts and underlines are indicated in the document.
All right, yeah, so I accepted that same amendment for 7A. I'll accept it for what is it, 11A4. So yes, that is a friendly amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course.
Can this apply to both of them?
To both, yes.
Yes.
Commissioner from District 12, you're recognized.
Chair, thank you. Yeah, I have a friendly amendment that obviously for both, and I'll certainly let the attorney read it if he so chooses. But essentially, I think it's important for us to send a message that if you don't comply one time, we need to know why, and you need to explain to us why you didn't comply. Because I just think it's good public policy for us, and particularly in this area, to start sending the message, let's get things done and done timely. So I don't know if the attorney wants to read the language or he wants me to read it.
Go ahead.
I can read it.
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
The amendments are both to 7A and 11A4, they're essentially the same motion, which is Commissioner Bermudez moves to amend items 7A and also 11A4 to prohibit the conveyance of additional county-owned properties under the Infill Housing Initiative Program. Under 11A4, it's related to the properties that are conveyed pursuant to sections 125.35 and 125.379 and 125.38 of the Florida statutes. Moving forward, to any developer or organization that has previously been conveyed county property through the program and failed to develop such properties within the timeframes established by the program or within any extended timeframes granted by the board. Commissioner Bermudez further moves that this prohibition shall not apply if the developer or organization demonstrates that it possesses the necessary expertise and financial capacity to successfully develop the property in accordance with the program's requirements. I believe these two motions have also been distributed to each of the commissioners, and the underlines and strikeouts are indicated on both of the motions.
Commissioner Bermudez, I'm comfortable with them. I think you're right. Accountability is important. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support 7A. I think I'm a co-sponsor on it, and I think that these measures are important to the administration. I've been working with you all on implementing Order 8-4 and updating it. And I'd love an update on that. And I bring it up because in District 8, for example, I've been in office, I think, 5.5 years. I think I'm just now for the first time conveying property for infill housing program. And the reason I haven't done it in the past is because when an applicant would come and ask for an opportunity to develop and we convey the parcels for $10 or some nominal amount, I say to them, I need you to show me that you are able to actually develop this property, because it's my understanding that previously someone would come, they'd get an acquisition of land from the commission, and then the administration would have the financial time and burden of vetting whether or not these applicants have the financial ability of actually developing the property. So within District 8, we flip it on the opposite side. We require the developer to show us on the front end that they are actually financially able to develop the properties before we agree to any acquisitions. And we've been working with the administration to update implementing Order 8-0 to 8-4 or 8- whatever, I think you know what it is, to reflect that. And so can we get an update on that? Because I think it
Yes.
addresses a lot of the concerns that are coming in
Yes. Thank
item
you.
7A and the amendments.
Through the chair, our staff has actually been working intensively on this item. It turns out that it's more complicated than met the eye, and so we'd love to brief you on it shortly to get your input so we can proceed with your direction. Okay? And just so you're aware, Namita Opal and Brenda Newman are the leads on that.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner from District 4, you're recognized.
Yes, since we're taking both 7A and 11A4, I know I would like to be listed also as a co-sponsor to 11A4. I think this is listen, I think philosophically, if you want to see things happen, especially to resolve the affordability crisis, you have to give parameters and safeguards, and you have to have a finite amount of time to do it. And if you can't deliver what we're looking for, then of course we have to look at other remedies, because this is, I think this is a great piece of legislation, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, clerk, please call the roll on both 11A4 and 7A.
I need a mover and a seconder.
It's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Steinberg.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
4.
Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Gonzalez.
4.
Commissioner Hardiman. Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Milian Orbis. Commissioner Regalado.
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg. Commissioner Bastien.
Or as amended.
Commissioner Bermudez. Vice Chairman McGee.
Vice Chair.
Yeah.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Sounds good. Now let's see what we got left. Are we on the pool list now? All right, so on the pool list, I'm gonna see, there might be some that I had pulled, so let's see what I could dispose of. Let me see what I could dispose of here. All right, so 14A5, I'll release it, so I'll move, if someone could just move 14A5.
Move it.
It's been moved Commissioner Regalado, seconded by Commissioner Orbis. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, on 8L1, on 8L1, I just pulled it to do an amendment. If the attorneys can read my amendment.
Chairman Rodriguez moves to amend item 8L1 to create a section 2 of the resolution that would direct the county mayor's administration to conduct a fiscal analysis of whether the county could provide any additional increased discounts relating to private provider fees and other fees included in the item, as authorized by Florida law, and prepare a report detailing the foregoing for board consideration within 60 days of the effective date of this resolution. The report shall, at a minimum, indicate the fiscal impact of providing a 50% discount for all private provider fees, regardless of whether a private provider performs plans review or inspections, and regardless of whether the project is residential or commercial, as well as any other additional discounts for other fees included in the item may be provided. The completed report shall be placed on an agenda of the full board without committee review pursuant to Rule 5.06J of the board's rules of procedure.
All right, so
Second as amended.
item is moved as amended, seconded by Commissioner Regalado, moved by Commissioner Orbis. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Questions on it, or? You can still make your statement if it's just a statement, yes.
It is. I want to applaud this amendment. If we don't do this, I'll guarantee you the state will do it.
Correct.
And so we got to show that, once again, we're proactive as opposed to being reactive to what the state sees is going on here. And we're aligning this with a current state statute now. And the next thing that's going to happen is if we don't demonstrate that we're looking to lower the costs while still providing good service, it will come back to bite us. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez, and that is correct. That's the spirit of my amendment. 8P1, I don't know if it'll get discussion, but I pulled it for an amendment as well. So I'll take, actually 8P1 I think is Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' item. So I only, it's co-sponsorship? Okay, so I only pulled it for an amendment. I'm hoping it's a friendly amendment. I will say that I spent a significant amount of time going back and forth on this with the administration and with the parties involved. So I would have the attorneys, I guess, read my amendment, and then you can get into it. You two can get into it as the sponsors. Make sure that it is friendly to you all, and what's your will. If you want to read the amendment.
Chairman Rodriguez moves to amend item 8P1 to reduce Miami-Dade Corrections and Rehabilitation Department's additional allocation request by $5,254,236,000 and to make conforming changes to the title and body of the resolution.
And guys, very simply stated, and it's a very short amendment. The reason for this amendment is after a lot of back and forth, they were able to reduce the cost by that amount. Feel free to ask all the questions that you all have, but that reduction comes at no risk to what we were acquiring, no risk to the service or actual amount of devices or the technology within the devices. So again, I hope it's a friendly amendment, but you have the floor, whichever one of you could. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you all recall this item at committee, I had a number of questions regarding whether or not we could do better on price. And I met with the leadership of Motorola in my office, and we spoke at length, and they gave me some comparisons of other municipalities or counties that they had sold similar radios to, and assured me that the price that we were getting was the best price. And so I have questions on the $5 million reduction. If someone from Motorola can approach, I'd like to understand where the $5 million reduction is coming from without affecting either the service or the device, because I would need to understand that, please.
If someone from Motorola is in the building, you're welcome to approach the wall.
Is no one from Motorola here? I find that difficult to believe.
Someone here?
Okay.
Oh, I see one that represents them.
Yeah, they were here.
You may approach the wall at this time to answer the commissioner's questions.
Yeah,
A little pep in the step will probably go a long way. With a little bit of enthusiasm and urgency.
A little bit of urgency.
I hope the walkie-talkies don't work at this speed. Because then corrections is in trouble at that point. What's that Jeopardy music? Anybody? Gilbert?
Good afternoon.
Go ahead, you're recognized for a Q&A.
Daniel Sanchez. You need the address? 8000 West Sunrise Boulevard, Plantation, Florida, Motorola.
Thank you.
And the question was about, with the proposed amendment, a reduction, what arrangements can we make to guarantee that there is no impact?
No, I'm asking you, where is the $5 million coming from? Because it's being represented that it's not going to cut the number of devices or the service that's being offered to our corrections department. And I'm just trying to understand, first of all, I applaud it, because anytime that we're able to save money, of course, we're going to be supportive of that. So I want to make that very clear. But I also want to understand, where is the $5 million in savings coming from Motorola's end? Because if you recall, you sat in my office and we spoke at length about you all not being able to reduce the number further on the price, that we were getting the best price that Motorola could offer.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to understand is, where is the $5 million reduction coming from that you all are now offering via this amendment? I'm grateful for. Where is it coming from?
Yeah. I think the amendment is being proposed in a way that we are being expected then to collaborate with SPD and the department to figure out how to get that done. But as of right now, we will be able to be flexible and work with you guys offline. But right now, I don't have the details to be able to tell you a good answer. Everything that you said about what we told you earlier was true, right? And that still stands. But this proposed amendment, I don't have the details. I'm not privy to that information. And we have not participated in the process for that proposed amendment. But
Okay, so, but the number was very specific. It wasn't like 5 million flat. It was 5,254,000. I mean, where did this number come from? So it certainly came from somewhere.
So, Commissioner, I'd encourage you to continue down that line of questioning, and I'll give you, if you want to write down this number, because this goes to what your question is. So the original price per radio that they provided was $8,595 with 79 cents. The new price per radio that equals the 5.2 million is $6,574 with 93 cents per radio. Someone at Motorola must have given that number. I can't imagine that our county administration would make that number up. So that's where the 5.2 million, come from. But
okay, so thank you.
Feel free to continue down that line of questioning.
Thank you for that clarification. I was not privy to that detailed information that you just described. I thought it was something in addition to how the numbers that you just described. So we got to those numbers by way of negotiation with the SPD department, right? Namita's organization negotiated with us back in April, and based on the outcome of that is the numbers that you just described, which is the same numbers that we conveyed to Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and the rest of the commissioners that we briefed with.
Okay.
So that was done by way of looking at the scope. The department wanted certain capabilities, certain scopes, certain accessories, certain quantities, and they also asked us to challenge ourselves on the pricing, which is how we came to that already. So that was already there. I thought that we were talking about a new proposed amendment to further decrease the dollar amount.
No, that's fair. To the administration, is this the same radio? Because, I've received a lot of letters that this is the radio that they need, this is the radio we want. And so this radio that we, I guess, presumably at one point, we're going to pay $8,500 per radio for, we are now agreeing to pay $6,500 per radio for?
So, Commissioner, we've been with Motorola for a few months, and there have been 3 radios we've been talking about. So the radio that we have selected now, the N70, is the latest one, which is $6,574. Yes.
But had we not asked the questions, and the co-sponsor asked these questions, I asked the question, clearly the chairman has asked the question because he now has an amendment. we would have agreed to pay $8,500 per radio for almost 30,000 radios? Because that was the original price that was presented to us as an item for us to sign off on. And so help me understand that, right?
So, Commissioner, originally there were two different kinds of radios that we were going to buy, and I think that's what I stated in the committee meeting. When you sent us back, we looked at a third radio which met all of our requirements, and the price of that radio was $8,000. And then back and forth with negotiations with Motorola and the discount that they had in our contract, plus the volume that we are buying, so we agreed upon a $6,574.
Okay. This is just for corrections, correct?
That is correct.
Motorola has already provided radios to our law enforcement officers and to our firefighters, correct?
Yes, and there's economies of scale in terms of providing the basic services, training and all, since we already do that for fire department. So we're leveraging that also.
Okay. The radios that our law enforcement officers and our firefighters received, we paid $8,500 for those radios?
I have to go back, Commissioner. Those might be a different model for fire. I don't have the exact model number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was it that we paid for them?
I have to defer to fire.
So here's the point. It's not to... It's to make the point of when we have such a strained general fund, which all of this comes out of, and we as a body continuously repeat the need for us to find savings anywhere and anywhere that we can. For us to be presented with an item that originally asks us to pay $8,500 per radio, and you all are able to reduce it rather substantially, although I think $6,500 per radio seems very high, but that's not my expertise and not my profession. I'm trying to understand, if we agree to $6,500 per radio for corrections, why did we pay a higher amount, right? If it's the same radio for thousands of radios for our law enforcement officers and our firefighters. That's what I'm trying to understand.
And I can help a little bit with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
So the law enforcement and fire radios did have even further additional capabilities that corrections radios, through the process of scoping and negotiations, did not need. So the police and fire radios actually have multiple bands in them for interoperability between police and fire and other stakeholders that are necessary to communicate with. So those are even higher tier radios. So those radios are more expensive, the ones that police and fire ended up with.
Okay, and corrections, I understand, because at the committee hearing, you all approached and said, we need these radios. I asked, why are you last in line to get these when this item, having this $165 million allocation, was back in 2022? You all gave an explanation for that. Now it's my understanding you're getting, I guess, somewhat slightly different radios, but is the different radio that's being proposed for you and your officers, is that something that's agreeable to you under this proposed amendment for a reduction in costs of $5.2 million?
Yes, Director.
Good morning, through the chair. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Right, Commissioner Gonzalez, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank Commissioner Cohen-Higgins not only for going through the line of questioning, but for bringing the item originally. And I was actually going to call Director Green because I don't think enough is said about the wonderful work that has been done and is being done by our corrections department. These folks don't get enough credit because they are part of public safety. And so I don't want them to get a lesser radio. That's what I'm going to get at. But I do want to be able to save money if it is in the best interest of all parties. These folks' life is on the line every single day, to the extent that if, for example, one person comes in and a second shift does not come in, they have to stay, no matter what. They do not have weapons. Their only line of defense is a radio in order to call for backup so that, for lack of a better word, they possibly don't get killed. Putting their lives on the line every single day to keep those inside and out safe. So I just want to be absolutely crystal clear. Is there a difference with the radio that was originally proposed and the radio now. And if that difference is that that radio cannot communicate with police outside, then I have a problem with it. So can you elaborate on the difference of the radios? And then, Director, I need you to tell me if this is going to be sufficient for the brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line every single day.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. And you are correct. This is a life safety request. So currently, and I'd like to explain it really quickly, that corrections is really a city within a city. We have 5,000 inmates in our custody, and we have approximately 3,000 staff members, of which over 2,000 are officers. And our radios, that's our number one tool that we need. Communication is very important. We don't have seconds to waste. And so having that unified front, that interoperability that with fire and police is extremely important. And there are features that the Motorola radio provides that are very important, such as roll calls, where we can communicate system-wide with all of our officers, where they can receive the same message and there is no miscommunication. If an officer is down within 10 seconds, there's an alert that will go out so we can send help. We are responding to disturbances, and this provides us, these radios will provide us an opportunity to not only make sure that our officers are safe, but as well as our inmate populations. So thank you for the consideration. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Director. And look, we just came out of a consent decree. This is why I want to make sure that we're all being clear. My question was, and I don't know if it's best suited for the gentleman from Motorola, can these radios do everything that we discussed, including but not limited to being able to communicate with police officers outside? The reason that that's important is because of custody, and I'm sure that the director can elaborate or the chief can elaborate, but when you're bringing an inmate into a facility, you have to be able to communicate from outside the facility to make sure that the facility is safe. I'm sure everybody has seen the movie Con Air. This is why this is important. So, sir, yeah, I'm a movie guy.
Clearly.
So, sir.
Yeah, Commissioner, thank you for the question. The answer is yes. They are fully interoperable with Miami-Dade law enforcement agencies, not only the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, but also with other county municipalities that are using the same radio platform.
And as for the functions, like for example, there's a function that we discussed where these radios have screens and they can, for lack of a better word, be able to communicate via, I guess, messaging, which is important because if they're in front of 32 inmates and they say something on the radio and now the inmates know, that could be a problem. Whereas if they're able to communicate via text message, not everybody else hears it, and now we can make sure that the situation becomes safe. So all of the bells and whistles that are necessary to keep folks alive, are all of these included in these radios?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, I am comfortable. My last question. Okay, and sir, I need you to be candid with me, okay? Because originally we had a conversation about, and Commissioner Cohen-Higgins also had a conversation about the price point and trying to figure out how we can lower the price point. What I don't want, sir, with all due respect, is for you folks to come back 6, 7, 8 months from now and say, hey, you know what, we can't do it for that price. So I heard some hesitancy in your voice. Are you 100,000% sure that you can do it that these radios have all the capabilities and can be brought at this price point? Are you 1,000% sure today on the record?
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And with that, I'll second.
All right. So, well, I think, so you co-sponsor Prime, because I need you all to accept the amendment, but one thing that I think it's fair, and I know that Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is asking me to take the microphone again, and you'll be recognized in just a second. But I think what's fair, and I don't want to get ahead of you if that's aligned the path you're going in. I'm not sure, but I think it's fair that while we're here, and we've asked, several questions of Motorola, and my amendment is about ultimately getting a better rate for the taxpayers, because like Commissioner Cohen-Higgins pointed out, corrections is a tax-paid department. It's not a proprietary fund or department. So on that note, I think I've received a ton of briefings, and I trust that most of my colleagues have. And not to delay the meeting, but we are in the pool list already. We're getting close. But I think it's fair for those listening, like how we got here, right? So and I wouldn't go too far, especially that I know it takes you a little bit to get to the well. So I wouldn't go too far. But I think you're good. But I think it's important that the, I don't know what to call it, the competitive company, or the company that was rated, well, not rated. This wasn't an RFP, right? This was never an RFP. But the company that has it today, which is L3 Harris, who I see sitting here, and again, I don't want to jump I don't know if you're going in that direction at all, Commissioner, but I think that we should hear from them as well. And I think that we should hear from the administration or the appropriate person to tell, like, again, I've been told privately in my office, I understand the reasoning, but why are we here? Why are we essentially paying some more money, even with the negotiated discount? Why are we paying more money for Motorola than we would have we stayed with L3 Harris? With that, like, I'll let everybody kind of marinate on that, where my head is. But with that, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the administration, back in 2022, when this contract was awarded, it was not a delegated authority. What was it? What was Resolution 682-22? It was a direct purchase, a competitive bid waiver. If you can just remind me.
Yes, Commissioner. It was like a bid waiver at that time in 2022 that was adopted by the board.
Yeah, and it was a bid waiver in the amount of $165 million, an original 5-year term with a 5-year OTR, right?
That is correct.
Of the $165 million, 83, call it $84 million, was drawn down. We're going to draw down an additional dollar amount now. Assuming this item passes today, what's the balance that will be left under Resolution 682-22 of the original $165 million allocation over a period of 5 years with a 5-year OTR?
So at this time, Commissioner, the obviously MDSO is separate. From the remaining amount for rest of the departments, which is fire rescue, CITD, we have approximately, I would say, about $3 million left.
We've used all $165 million of this contract?
Well, not the OTR. We're not in the OTR yet. Just the initial term. Let me pull up the initial item, Commissioner.
It's much more than $3 million per my math, but.
Yeah, and then other items.
Okay, we'll see.
I mean, it's.
Do you know how much was? Oh, so Commissioner, the initial 5-year term included approximately $34 million, of which approximately $84 million was for police, MDSO. So we're given change like $50-60 million left. So we're for the rest of the county departments. So of that, there's only $3 or $4 million left, and Fire can explain what are the projects that were done using that allocation.
Sure.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Through the chair, and Commissioner, your question is spot on. I just wanted to make sure we clarified that the request is for us to expend money on that contract that was awarded with an up to amount. And we are required to come back anytime we want to expend money that was approved that's above the mayor's authority. So it seems a little confusing that we're looking like we're talking about a new contract. You said it very clearly, Commissioner, and I wanted to make sure everybody understood. We're asking for an allocation for that existing contract, and we're actually very appreciative of the chairman helping us ensure, right, that the unit price is rock solid as we add corrections to a device that our other law enforcement officers have used very successfully. And we're very appreciative as well of you, Commissioner Gonzalez, of helping set the stage for the value of corrections being able to be on the same platform as their brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Chief. And let me just be clear on where I'm going with this. And again, I'm not trying to be anything other than clear. The original allocation was for $165 million. On page 2 of the item that's before us, it says the resolution established this amount in $165 million in 2022. Of this amount, $83.9 million was for MDSO. Subsequently, the contract was modified under delegated authority for a total of $10.6 million. And now Corrections is asking for $17 million in change. What I'm trying to understand is that doesn't show a difference of just $3 million. That shows a much larger amount that has not been drawn down on this $165 million contract. I'm just trying to figure out what that number is. And the reason I'm trying to figure out what that number is because there is another provider that is repeatedly informing us and saying to us that they can provide similar, or if not almost the exact same radios for a much lower dollar amount. So before I even get to that, I'd like to understand what the dollar amount under this contract is that is unallocated. It can't just be $3 million. It has to be substantially more, or the item before us is leaving information out.
Greg Rubin, Fire Rescue, through the chair. Good afternoon. So this contract is not exclusively used for communications, radios. It's also used for other Motorola items in the county, such as the computer-aided dispatch system utilized by the Sheriff's Office and Fire Rescue. So I just want to be clear that not all of that is just for radios.
Okay. So is it the position of the administration that, are you saying that there's only $3 million left on this $165 million 10-year contract and we're in year 4? This passed in 2022. It's 2026. It had a cumulative value of $165 million. We're 4 years in a 10-year contract, and you're saying we only have $3 million left in unallocated funds?
Approximately, I would say 70 to 80 million is already for MDSO.
We know that. That's clear. What's the
Right.
balance on the $165 million that is not allocated?
So Commissioner, of the 165, I would say we have to subtract at least 30 or 40 million that was projected for the OTR,
Okay.
which we haven't touched.
Sure.
So that remains about 133, and of which you take out 80. So I would say, Commissioner, for the initial 5-year term, let's just say we allocated 65 to 70 million for the county departments, not MDSO. Of that 65-something million dollars, fire has used about 52. And I can tell you the other departments. For example, CITD has 4 million left. So fire has about 3 million left. So that's what they left them on.
The reason I'm asking is because I think that, and I'll work with you all off of the microphone on this. I want to pass this item today so that our corrections department can get the radios that they need. But whatever is not allocated in this $165 million through this exercise, what it has made clear to me is that there is room for savings. Okay, there's room for savings. And as we move forward through this $165 million allocation for radios in Miami-Dade County, I want us to consider utilizing other companies for the balance of the unallocated amount that I believe to be far in excess of $3 million, right? We're only in year 4 on a 10-year.
That is correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
good, we're on the same page with that. And so I don't know if I need to bring an item or what I need to do in that regard. But to the eye and to the end of saving dollars, our law enforcement is set, our firefighters are set, our corrections is set. I think everybody would agree. They need the radios that they say they need in order to do their job. The rest of our county departments, however, I cannot see us justified in spending $8,000 and $6,000 per radio. And so I am going to be working with you all to make sure that we are engaging other companies that are offering us a lower price that is equally, if not, better functionality, because the price has to be the top consideration for us.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Just so we do buy Harris radios for non-public safety. So everybody else that's non-public safety has Harris radios. But we could work with you before we even go in the exercise. The option to renew term, we'll work with you before we exercise that.
All right, sounds good. So, Commissioner, do you accept my amendment as a friendly amendment?
I accept it.
All right, so, and you move your item as amended?
I move it.
All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. Seeing no further, Commissioner from District 12, you recognize.
I just have a question, because I think Commissioner Cohen-Higgins brings up some cogent points. And I just want to make sure moving forward, and I agree with Commissioner Gonzalez, I would hate to come back, because this happens too often, and then things do not work. The history of Miami-Dade County and some of these radios has not been great for those of you who followed the history of Miami-Dade County radios. So I would just want to make sure, and both of you are correct, and there's a big difference between life safety issues, fire, police, obviously corrections, and other departments. And I think we need to be cognizant of that as we move forward. So I just want to, and I wasn't here. I don't think many of us were here. Some of us may have been here in July of 2022, but a lot maybe were not here when we got to the award at that time. And moving forward, I'd just like to make sure that if there are going to be any issues, we get told timely, not late, not after the fact, not when the item comes in front of us, but timely, because there is another provider that has indicated continuously that there's better ways to do it. So I'd like to know that beforehand as opposed to after the fact, moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I agree, Commissioner Bermudez, which, look, not to muddy the waters, and I'm ready to call a vote unless there's more dialogue. But, we have to trust at some point, I'm not an expert, right? And certainly not in IT and in software or technology, and certainly not in radios. So at some point, I think we were all, right, or at least those that may support this item with its amendment, we were all kind of informed that this is the way that we need to go, and this is what corrections needs for public safety, for the safety of our officers, and so that's why we're here today, right? But when listening to all the arguments and this kind of slow move this item as we were negotiating better rates and trying to learn it, but one of the competing companies, one of the things that they brought up to me, and it stuck with me, and so I appreciate Commissioner Cohen-Higgins now making sure that we'd certainly keep them and embed them for anything outside of public safety, is that they pointed out to us, like, hey, yes, Motorola has all these features and advanced technology in their radios that they're claiming. We're not disputing that. That said, your network can't support some of those techie portions of that radio, so you won't be able to fully. Then when I went and met with Motorola and the team, they said, no, we could support. So again, at some point, something that I say more often than not, I say this on the radio all the time, is up here, we're all expected to be masters of everything. People think we know it all. And some of us, unfortunately, some of you guys think you know it all. But I am very self-aware knowing that I am not an expert in what I do not know. Talk to me about what I do for a living privately, and I could talk for days, hours with my eyes closed. But in a lot of the stuff that we see, it is our duty, our job to get informed and listen to the experts. And that's, I think, what brings us here today. So with that, I will call the vote. Is this a voice vote or? Voice. All right. All in favor of the item as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item passed. All right, Commissioner Gilbert, you're recognized.
Thank you. Now that the item is passed, because I didn't want to, I'm supportive of the item, and I didn't want to necessarily engage the conversation on this item particularly, or specifically, but this item and one of the other items that was on the agenda kind of sent me down a rabbit hole of asking questions about how we actually list things in our budget. And I only asked the question because we have previously bought a lot of things, and we buy things, for instance, for law enforcement, and that's the sheriff now. Well, some of the times we actually incur debt. And so I asked the question whether the debt we incur and the debt service that we pay for things that are now used by the sheriff is included in the allocation of the sheriff's budget. So for instance, if we pay for, I don't know, a helicopter as a part of debt service, is the amount of that prorated debt service that went to the helicopter a part of the money that we say the sheriff's, that's in the sheriff's budget? So if the sheriff gets, I don't know, $800 million, is it the $800 million plus the debt service? And so what they're telling me is, and I'm not sure this is right, and I'm very keen on things I'm not an expert at, that it's not. It's a part of the debt service that's already wrapped in, and we don't include that in the money that we call a part of like MDSO. And so if that's how we choose to do the accounting, that's fine. But I would suggest if we were really going to have an accurate number on how much we're spending in each of these discrete areas, that we find ways to apportion the debt service on the things that we buy for those different departments. So if we're buying equipment that's used by the sheriff, the debt service, at least on our books, should be something that's attributed to the sheriff. Because if we did that, it might actually better inform how much money we're actually spending on law enforcement, how much money we're actually spending on fire, how much money we're actually spending in those departments. And so it's just something that it's a rabbit hole that we don't necessarily need to talk about now, because I see Raquel is she knows something. Let's see, but I think it's something maybe the chairman that you could maybe assign to like a committee or somebody could, just to look at how we actually do these things.
We will.
Yeah, because that is, I was shocked, Mr. Chairman. I was shocked by the fact that we're still saying that's our, like the debt is all ours, but the property is all someone else's, and we're not even accounting for the debt service in the money that we allocate to them as a part of the budget. So to me, that seems like something we need to be looking at.
I think we definitely will. All right, thank you. And I'm still on the pool list. Are you taking a personal, are you doing an Oliver Gilbert?
Just really quick.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oliver, you remember, we talked about this when we first brought the item on the constitutional officers, and that's why we amended all the contracts that came after, saying that they could either take the contracts or we could keep the contracts, and there was this whole back and forth that we did during that process. But I don't think that we've had that conversation since then. And I think one of the things that we should consider, and obviously we still have the obligation, so we can't transfer it, but I'm sure that we can account for it, and not just with the sheriff, with all the constitutional officers, right? There are assets that we have purchased that they are receiving from us. I think we do account for some of the payments, but I think maybe whatever's left on those assets would be the best way to account for it. So kind of like a 5-10 year on whatever the assets are that we have purchased for the constitutionals, and then the depreciation of that and how it refers back to our debt.
Through the chair, we've heard the request, and we will explore ways to account so that it's fully transparent what's allocated to the constitutionals and what is on the county side. With the exception of the tax collector, the constitutionals cannot acquire or own real assets, but we can have a more visible way of demonstrating what is attributed to the constitutionals vis-a-vis our budget. So we are happy to take that into advisement.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
That I think that's exactly the point. So the property actually belongs to us, even though it's always going to be used for them. The debt actually belongs to us. but we're not actually saying when we spending the money that we're spending the money for them, because there are things that we buy for constitutionals that we will never use, and so we need to have that accounting in the money that we actually give to them. So it's this is, and we did talk about it in with regard to contracts, ongoing contracts, but we didn't specify with regard to the debt service.
All right, we're gonna definitely make this in committee and have a whole discussion item. So be prepared to the administration. All right, I got 14A4, 14B1 was not pulled, but it's still pending. Can I have a motion to move these? Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Lopez, seconded by, who said second? By Commissioner Orbis. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show 14A4 and 14B1 passed. I have 11A9. 11A9, Commissioner from District 12. You pulled this item. Was it just a co-sponsor? It's the FOG loan program. My item.
Co-prime because we were doing the flow.
Absolutely.
Fog report, and I just wanted to quickly, if I could, ask the administration, if not now, certainly soon, to give us an update, because we were supposed to get some of these fog reports in 90 days, because, you know, it's been an issue for all these restaurants. It continues to be an issue. I can tell you, at the GET committee, there was even a gentleman who flew from Raleigh, North Carolina, who wants to open up 2 restaurants, and it's a problem. It's making the cost of doing business here much more difficult. So I just want to go on the record to make sure that we could possibly get a report in time.
It's getting a little loud in the chamber. Thank you, Commissioner Bermudez. Yes, you led efforts on the FOG issue for sure, and thank you for co-sponsoring my item and allowing me to co-sponsor yours as well.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner.
May I add my name just as a co-sponsor?
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Steinberg is, and the Vice Chair is added as a co-sponsor on this item, on 11A9. All right, with that, I'll ask Commissioner Bermudez to move my item, 11A9. It's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. I think Commissioner from District 12, you also pulled 11A12 for
I'll
amendments.
release that.
Okay. So you'll move 11A12.
Hold on a second.
I believe this one's your item.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the one I have at front. Well, can I have the attorney read the amendment? Because
Absolutely.
it's really a cleanup
Okay.
issue for the,
If the attorney can read the amendment that Commissioner Bermudez has on his item 11A12.
Sure. Commissioner Bermudez moves to amend item 11A12 to waive the provisions of resolution number R-13006, requiring that any contracts of the county with third parties be executed and finalized prior to their placement on an agenda of the board, and to waive the provisions of implementing order number 08-04, requiring the commission order to review and comment on the proposed leasing and conveyance of county property prior to submission of an agenda item to the board, and to make conforming changes to the title.
Show it amended and moved by Commissioner Bermudez, seconded by the Vice Chair. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, show Commissioner Gilbert moving 8P3, and seconded by AP3, seconded by Commissioner Bastien. All in, I have a pooling commissioner, but I understand.
It was to vote no.
Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Do you have, Commissioner Bastien, do you have?
Something else. I just wanted to be listed, also be listed as a co-sponsor for 11A9.
Okay, show Commissioner Bastien co-sponsoring 11A9. Okay, so show the item 8P3 passed, reflecting Commissioner Orbis and Steinberg as noes. All right. 802, Commissioner from District 12.
I released that.
All right, and you'll move it?
Yeah, sure.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bermudez, seconded by Gilbert. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. 8P1, that's the one that we heard already and passed. 8P4, Commissioner from District 5, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just have a couple of questions on certain things for the administration. So one of my questions, I need some clarification on what is the singular rates and how it's burdened by overtime on this particular procurement. So maybe Namita, you could explain?
Good afternoon, Commissioner. So the Commissioner, the RFP was advertised and asked for different rates for different positions, like project manager, monitor, truck certifier, field supervisor. And we stated in the RFP that you have to give a flat rate, no overtime. So we got multiple proposals. So Tetra Tech was ranked #1, and they had a flat rate for each position, and that's what we negotiated with them. I do realize that Thomson Consulting proposed that their rates are going to be hour and a half for overtime, like 1.5 times, I'm sorry, for overtime. But the RFP called for flat rates for no matter what. And that's how we've been, the monitoring service has been obtained by county historically too.
Okay. And so how did that then intersect with addendum number 2? That talks about $0. I'm confused, and I guess what I want you to do is put on the record exactly what you've just said about the flat rate, and that is that a requirement of the RFP to have given a flat rate?
Correct.
Okay, so then what does it intersect at all with addendum 2 that said that there could not be, the answer was provided to a solicitor that said you can have the rate of $0 if those roles are not anticipated?
So, I think those two are different things. If the roles are not used, then you could put in 0, yeah. But the roles, everybody gave us the rates for all of the roles that we asked for.
Okay, so the roles that were specified in the RFP were in fact, and everyone gave a rate for those?
Correct.
Okay, and then were there any other positions that someone said they needed? Like why, I guess I'm trying to figure out, why would you specify some positions and not specify others and allow for other positions to be said and put a 0 rate?
So, Commissioner, the positions that were listed in the RFP are based on our historical usage of what we have used in the prior disasters, Surfside, all of the hurricane. And what happens is if something, God forbid, some unusual disaster comes in, so a lot of times, we just ask for additional positions that could be used later down the road.
There are additional positions that you may need to use later down in the road?
Let's say Surfside was a very unusual example.
Very unusual.
Right.
Hopefully never happening again.
Yeah, right. So if we, since FEMA requires us to have a debris monitor, and let's say we needed a unique expertise from this monitoring company and that position was not contemplated, we have the right to add position in the contract.
But why wouldn't we already anticipate that?
I don't know how to anticipate all of the positions based on future disasters, but we have, I think we have covered 90, I would say 99% of the positions, I would say. I'm going to look at the addendum that you are talking about.
I'm unclear as to how you can estimate some positions and not estimate the others when you don't even know what the disaster might be.
So, Commissioner, to do a plain apples to apples comparison, what we did is we listed the positions that we have historically used and the hours in the RFP. So we could say Company A versus Company B based on the hours that we have, so we could have a plain level field. If they anticipate they did not.
Let me pause because I don't know, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Lopez, but what I'm understanding her asking is not what you're answering. I think you're just not understanding her question right. She's not explaining herself correctly. One of the two. Giving the benefit of the doubt here. But I actually have similar questions, and I won't jump the gun. But I think, are you referring to the $0 amount, not the 0 hours, because
No, I don't-
of course we don't know if there's going to be a hurricane or not, Of course, this is all projections. I think she's referring, Naman, it's important that you listen to what she's referring to, because I don't think
It's the $0.
it's a $0 amount under, are you referring to specifically under project manager?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I
Correct.
misunderstood.
That's all right.
And on that note, while you answer her question,
Okay.
I will ask something that goes in line with that. I'm interested to know why in the item that I have before me today, it is a $0 amount,
Right.
but in the proposal that they submitted, it is at $95. How did that change? Because once you submit a proposal, you can't change the numbers.
So I misunderstood totally, Commissioner. So it was, okay, so during the when they proposed us rates, so Tetra Tech was ranked #1. We negotiated all of the rates with them. They brought down for all of the positions, they brought their rates down. And for the project manager, they are now going to charge us. Not that we're not going to use them. They are not going to charge us for that project management services. So it was a negotiated rate, and RFP allows us to negotiate it down, not higher, but down.
But I guess you actually responded. I don't know who actually responded with the project management position, but if my notes serve me correctly, there was a question. May proposers list certain job categories with a rate of $0 if those roles are not anticipated to be utilized under the proposer's staffing structure? The response the county gave was no. So I don't understand. If you're saying that you could not propose a $0, but someone did, how is that possible when you yourself someone did, I'm sorry, I'm not saying you, I would say the county, provided a response of no. I don't get it.
So no one proposed $0. Everybody gave us hourly rates. We just negotiated it down to 0 for that position with Tetra Tech to arrive at the negotiated rate to present the board the best possible award.
So you negotiated with every company or just with Tetra Tech?
Just with Tetra Tech.
You only negotiated with one of the companies?
Because the way
number one ranked.
they are, yes, the #1 ranked, yes.
And then my only other question is, I know that FEMA's reimbursement requires that strict compliance with the federal procurement requirements under 2 CFR Part 200. Did all the respondents qualify for that? In other words, is everyone's proposal under that strict compliance?
Everybody responded, well.
Here's the question, to be very direct. I'm sorry. Did every respondent and every proposal fall under the strict compliance of the federal government for FEMA reimbursement? That's the only question I have.
Commissioner, based on the scoring that I see, that every company
based
is
on the
qualified.
That is such a yes or no question, and that I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't care about the scoring. Listen carefully to the question. Did every proposal fall under the strict compliance for FEMA reimbursement? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I can't answer that question.
Wow. The most important part of this RFP is that we would be reimbursed by FEMA should we have to use the debris removal services. Shocking.
I'm sorry.
The top ranked, the contract that we have in front of you, Commissioner, with Tetra Tech that we negotiated will comply with all of the FEMA requirements. I can tell you Thompson proposed 1.5 hour rate, and if we go back to negotiation with them, they have to eliminate that, so that won't comply. So I don't know what other things are there in the other proposal.
Okay.
You're telling me that, I guess the question is so clear. Did all of them, the answer is no, yes or no, I don't know. You're saying I don't know.
Respectfully, if I could ask a question of the commission.
Yes, please.
Because is the idea that if they did not qualify, then they should be determined to be non-responsive?
Correct.
Definitely. Okay.
So the fact that they were even referred to the selection committee means that they were responsive.
So she's suggesting that the county attorney should answer the question.
You're welcome to answer the question and give Commissioner Lopez a response to her very simple question.
It was so simple.
We have not received any requests raising any responsiveness issues. We could look into that, but we there's been no request for responsive opinion. So there's been no issue raised that as to any vendor being non-responsive or non-responsible.
All right, Commissioner Gilbert you're recognized, Commissioner Gilbert. You still have the floor afterwards, Commissioner Lopez. But
Okay, so I think we just need to slow down and back up a little bit. So we don't do an initial responsiveness evaluation for responses. I'm nearly certain that we have to do that. We do.
So when it comes to responsiveness, you're absolutely right. They all are responsive.
Okay.
Yes.
They're all responsive.
Correct.
So the commissioner's question was with regard to the FEMA regulations, that all the submittals address it in a way that allowed them to be responsive.
That is correct.
And so the answer is yes. Okay. Because that got...
all right, Commissioner Lopez, do you still have?
No, that was my final question. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner from District 4, I'm skipping to you, but I've got other polling commissioners.
Oh, well, okay, I will then, if you pulled the item. Okay, just really quickly on the FEMA, I asked this question yesterday, and I'd like a response. Because this is a contract that would be prospective for reimbursement, right? This is a from FEMA, which is why she wants to ensure that we are, that they're eligible to receive that. So we are eligible to receive that reimbursement. I know that FEMA is going through a process of changing what the floor for reimbursement is going to look like. So I don't know if someone can address that for a moment, just so we can also understand that. Meaning that the amount of dollars that we can recoup might change and be a much higher threshold so that we may come out of pocket more.
Is anybody familiar from the administration on these changes coming down the pipeline?
Through the chair, yes, it is our understanding that FEMA will have less resources available to distribute, and so the amount of money that may be available, it will be different in the future. So there's a risk of us probably having to expend more dollars than we would have in the past.
And have we contemplated, well, there is an actual figure, I believe, that is being floated in a proposal. Does anybody have that? Because has that been baked into what we look at in numbers in the event that we are not reimbursed at the levels that we used to be reimbursed at?
Through the chair, Maggie Steenberg is our Assistant Director in the Department of Emergency Management. If you could, she'll approach.
Thank you so much.
You're recognized.
Thank you. If I'm understanding the question correctly, there have been a lot of changes proposed at the federal level, specifically through the FEMA Act, which was introduced last year but has not passed, as well as the recommendations of the FEMA Review Council, which have been accepted by the White House, but none of it has been implemented as of yet. There have been suggestions that the threshold for federal disaster assistance or presidential disaster declarations be raised. Right now for Miami-Dade County, it's based on a per capita indicator, both for our county as well as for the state. So for the county, our current threshold is 12.4-ish, 12.7 million would be the minimum amount of damages we would have to sustain before we would be potentially eligible for a declaration. They have proposed increasing that threshold, although it has not gone into effect yet. As it stands, we are still, for this season and for the foreseeable future, still going off of that per capita indicator as it exists. Although it has been proposed to raise that, it would take congressional authorization for that to occur. And they're thinking these measures, if they come to fruition, would probably take 2 to 3 years. So It still hasn't changed.
Okay, and do we know just the long range of what they're thinking about in terms of?
Well, it's been floated in different places. They had floated in the FEMA Act, I believe they floated maybe quadrupling that, for example. So the minimum threshold would be much higher. As is presented in the FEMA Review Council recommendations, they call for a review of the baseline and realigning that with the consumer price index because it's sort of gotten out of whack over the years. So.
Well, I really appreciate the response. Thank you so much.
Are you able to, wait, don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Come back, please.
Are you able to answer the question that Commissioner Lopez was asking, and then Commissioner Gilbert decided to get all work?
I just want her to answer questions for everything. You can answer questions about parks. I mean, yeah, because that's how
Very
you just
diligent.
answer a question. Just answer the question.
So thank you.
Especially yes or no question.
Through the chair, our chief procurement officer is prepared to address the question. The way it was presented was confusing to her, but she has the answer.
Okay, all right, well, yes, we will get to that, Madam Director, but Commissioner from District 8 as a pooling commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When this item was presented to us at Policy Council, the number one ranked bidder under the procurement scoring process was bumped because we were advised that there was a significant savings and our body can't stress enough how much we're going to advocate for savings. And so it advanced out of committee, and if anybody watched or if you recall from that committee, there were questions that I had, but they were not able to be answered because there wasn't anyone to answer it at the time, and I understand why. I spoke with the director after, and there was a very, very excusable reason given for her not being present, and I appreciate you calling me directly and sharing that. But since I didn't have the opportunity to ask the questions at Policy Council, and I think I made it pretty clear during Policy Council that I would follow up with asking questions at final hearing, that's what I'd like to do now. In the item, it gives us, on page 5, the final scores. And it says here that the price score for Tetra Tech is 87, and the price score for Thompson Consulting is 97. But it doesn't say what the aggregate bid amount is between the two companies. What I'm trying to understand is I'd like to understand where the savings are, because that's how it advanced out of committee, with Thompson being selected as the number one ranked bidder. So what is the differential between the two bids that came in under the procurement the way that it was written? What are the two numbers that were bid between Thompson and Tetra?
So we had hourly rates and we projected scenario, okay, these are the hours for let's say a sample disaster. Based on that, when you plug in the hourly rates, the differential straight hourly rates, not overtime, the differential was about $800 and something thousand that was shared with the board members and OPBA. But that did not take into account the overtime that was proffered by Thompson.
Okay, so let's stop right there. The 800 differential was where? Who had the $800?
800 between the Tetra Tech's rate that we have and the Thompson's proposal.
Who was 800? Where were
Thompson was higher. Lower, based on that.
Thompson's price, as submitted during the bid process, was $800,000 lower.
Right. To do so Tetra Tech's negotiated rates that were shared.
Namita, the answer is yes to her
So
question.
Thompson was lower, 800,000. Yes.
That's the thing. You just got to listen to the question.
Okay, Thompson was $800,000 lower. But if Thompson was $800,000 lower, why did Thompson receive a price score by the selection committee that is 10 points lower than Tetra Tech? Tetra Tech got why is that?
Thompson received the higher score, 10 points higher for the price.
That's what I'm trying to understand. If they had the lower price, why was their price score?
They offered lower price, so they got higher price score.
Oh, I understand. I see that now. Okay, that makes better sense. Okay, so Thompson got the higher score on pricing than Tetra Tech, but didn't overall get the higher score. I understand, and I apologize for making this more confusing than it needs to be, but I'd really like to understand the difference in the scoring. What was the percentage of the score? I guess it was 100 for pricing, 400 for technical. Explain to me the overtime issue, because I understand that there is an issue with overtime that I need to understand.
So, Commissioner, the RFP asked for flat rates, no overtime.
Okay, who submitted overtime?
Thomson, in their pricing proposal, added an asterisk and said they will be charging overtime beyond 8 hours.
Okay, but help me understand, because we've been here before, right? In fact, we're here now on another RFP where we have advocated for strict reading of the RFP language as it's put out. And so this RFP said no overtime to be considered in this bid. I understand that I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it directly in front of me. But you've said it a couple of times now on the microphone, and I just want to be clear on what the RFP language said specifically regarding overtime. Either you or someone, can they read it to me?
I have to find it, give me.
And while you're looking for it, this is the kind of stuff that puzzles me, because it's in the fair collection procurement, right? In fair collection procurement, during committee hearing last week, we were told that it's the opinion of the attorneys that we have to strictly comply with the language of the RFP that is written, whether it's pursuant to a past policy of this board or not. Here, we have a representation from the administration on a different solicitation that there is strict black and white language in an RFP that says no overtime, yet we have a bidder that has bid an amount that includes overtime. So I'm trying to understand what the language was in this RFP specifically and why. Chief?
Through the chair, NAMDA is looking for the exact language. Oh, did you find it? The NAMDA is looking for the exact language. The bidder that gave it as an asterisk was giving additional information. That information was not, we scored based on the requirements, not based on the additional information. So the actual financial proposals, as you noted, was one had a better outcome. The substantive proposal, the other one had a better outcome. When you do the math, the first ranked bidder that the administration put forward was the one that there are two things adding together gave us the best value, right? So this is not a fixed price contract, it's a fixed rate contract. So the fixed rate, based on the scenario of a generic incident, gave us the better value.
And that's Tetra Tech?
Correct.
Okay. And so the way that the scoring and the recommendation is currently before the board, recommending Tetra Tech, or was this item amended in Policy Council? Wasn't it amended in Policy Council?
Yes, it was.
And the amendment reflected to give the contract to Thomson, the number 2?
At Policy Council, the committee recommended the award to Thomson as number 2 for pricing, as a pricing that was rated higher. And then there was also some discussion regarding Thomson's experience and personnel.
Okay. And so my question is a simple one regarding overtime, the way that the bid has been written and what's currently before the administration as a proposal. Is it possible that Thomson charges overtime under what was submitted? Is it possible that we get charged overtime? I know there was an asterisk, and I have the asterisk in front of me, although I don't have the language of the RFP. Is it possible that we, as a county, get charged overtime by Thomson if Thomson is awarded this contract?
If the RFP prohibited overtime, the scoring was ranked, and my understanding from the administration is that these scores, the pricing was scored assuming that overtime would not be ranked. If Thomson was ranked number 1, or if they proceeded negotiations, we could not negotiate a term that would be in deviation of the RFP.
I understand. So Thomson, under the terms of the RFP, cannot negotiate a contract that allows them to charge overtime to Miami-Dade County. Is that correct?
That is correct. If it's prohibited in the RFP, they would not be able to charge overtime. My understanding, it was prohibited via an addendum.
Okay. I see you approaching. I didn't ask you to approach. I am trying to get my head wrapped around the technical variances of this issue. I would like, no, you can approach. I didn't mean for you. I didn't mean to indicate for you to sit down. And through the chair, if it's okay, if I can ask a representative on behalf of Tetra Tech a few questions, because here's the thing. I respect that they've been with the county for a while. I respect that they helped us through Hurricane Irma and the Surfside building collapse, and that they've been successful in obtaining FEMA funds on behalf of Miami-Dade County. I value all of that. I'm not casting that to the side. I am, and I remain focused on pricing, because at the end of the day, that has to be not the ultimate bottom line, but a significant factor for us here in Miami-Dade County, all things considered. So if you don't mind just spending a minute explaining to me, if you will, why it is that Tetra Tech, I believe is the company that you represent, has a better price than Thompson. Because for me, as far as voting on this item, that's what I need to understand.
Sure. Through the chair, Brian May with offices at 235 Catalonia Avenue in Coral Gables, representing Tetra Tech. There's a fundamental question on the pricing, Commissioner, which is if the RFP specifically states that you cannot provide two rates, right, for any one position, and Thompson, in their proposal, in what they propose to the county, specifically says that they are going to charge a different rate that is 1.5 times their base rate for overtime, they should be found non-responsive to the RFP.
I'm gonna put a pin in that, because I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, especially when we have another RFP where we're advocating as a county and administration to follow the black and white ink of the RFP. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I don't disagree with you. Which is why I asked the question for someone to read to me that very critical language in the RFP that stated only flat rate hourly submissions would be considered, because I need to know what that language states.
Through the chair, Director Opal.
The director has referred to it. The representative on behalf of Tetra Tech has referred to it. What does the language in the RFP state that all of the bidders read prior to submitting proposals on this RFP?
So the RFP in the price form only asks for single hourly rate for each position, and that single hourly rate language, all hourly rates shall be inclusive of all expenses, material, travel, miscellaneous costs and fees, and single rate for each position. There was no provision for anyone to add any overtime rate or any different rate, just single rate for all positions. That's how the form was designed.
And despite that language in the RFP, no one on the committee or the attorneys found the response from Thompson to be non-responsive as a result of them including an hourly rate in their response to the attorneys?
We were not asked to review the responsiveness pursuant to the IO, the policy. Procurement does a review of the proposals and then they identify potential responsiveness issues and they request an opinion from us. So then we do the responsiveness review. So that was not given to us. I do note, though, that pursuant to the RFP, the language RFP states, and this is standard at the time, the county shall treat the proposer's inclusion of exceptions, assumptions, or alternate terms in the proposal as requests to negotiate project elements, and the inclusion of same shall not result in the proposal being deemed non-responsive. The county is not bound to accept any exceptions, assumptions, or alternates during negotiations, and the county shall consider a proposal submitted to be an offer to supply goods or services in strict compliance with the terms of the solicitation. Exceptions, assumptions, or alternates may be considered by the county during negotiations to the extent such exceptions, assumptions, or alternates do not materially change any provision in the solicitation. It's been our view with that language, if we get an assumption or exception, we won't deem them non-responsive, but if they try to negotiate that into the contract, then that will not be allowed.
Is that standard procurement language contained in all procurements that Miami-Dade issues?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, you see where that goes, right? Because that is a shield and a sword. You can use that to justify a lot. So, I mean, you're an attorney. You understand what it is, what I'm saying. You're reading one provision that is included in every single RFP that goes out on behalf of Miami-Dade County. NAMADA and one of the bidders is reading language that is specific to this RFP that said, we're not entertaining overtime. We want flat rates and flat rates only. And so legally, I see what it is that you are saying. Go ahead, I mean.
Commissioner, we're getting this issue on us right now, so we haven't given a responsive opinion on that. I do know on previous opinions, we have used that language. If a proposer has given an assumption or an alternate or an exception, we've used that language to deem them responsive. But if they try to then negotiate that into the contract, we heard you can't materially deviate. But to be fair, I don't want to say that we're giving an opinion because we're looking at this on the fly. So we would like to have some time to look at the whole proposal as a whole before we say it's responsive or not. We have not been asked to provide our opinion, yeah.
And so through the chair, Commissioner, I'm not sure if it was clear that was not used as part of the evaluation. So
I understand
proposers can propose lots of things. The evaluation criteria is the evaluation criteria. And so those rates were not what was used. What was used was what was presented based on the evaluation criteria. And with that being said, that we recommended a number one that met the evaluation criteria with the highest ranked total score because that had the best value based on the services we're trying to procure.
Yeah, and I think this is an interesting position because it's not as though there was an opportunity, or was there an opportunity to file a bid protest on this? Has that window come and gone? Has that opened and closed?
That is correct.
The window to file a bid protest on this has opened and closed.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner from District 7, you recognize?
Thank you. I don't want to complicate matters more.
Time out, Mr. Chair. Time out. Time out. No mas.
Yes,
No
however.
mas.
No, but look, my district was very impacted during Irma. Irma was a high debris storm, and it was very, very expensive. So I've looked at the numbers, and while I appreciate that we're looking at this contract hypothetically, I would love to compare these bids to what occurred in Irma, because that has been for us worst case scenario. So there's been a lot of discussion about overtime. I would love to see some empirical information as to what happened with the hours, because during Irma, the county was well positioned in that our contract allowed us more access than the municipalities. Currently, that is not the situation. So I think there's a lot in this item. I appreciate the conversation about procurement and the selection committee, and I love any conversation that has to do with process. But I'm really concerned about the end result, and that we may be in a situation where we live to regret this particular vote. So I would really like from emergency management some information on Irma. And I think that it is important for us to follow the process irrespective of what happens with FEMA, because we can't change what happens with FEMA, but I think that we can do our best to follow the current FEMA rules. So can emergency management give us some information on what happened with Irma? When the past contract, I don't know if that would be procurement, but I just want to know what the costs were with Irma and what the overtime and the hourly and all of that was, and how did that inform the drafting of the RFP? Because I assume that informed the drafting of the RFP, correct?
That is correct. Commissioner, in Tetra Tech's current contract is also a flat rate for each position. There is no overtime rate. So at the time of Irma, it would have been a flat rate. I did try to get information on Irma, like how many hours were used for different positions, to see if we could compare. And I did reach out to the clerk's office, and they could not, because it's prior to informs. So we could not get information readily available from the system. However, clerk's office was kind enough to do the analysis and share the regular hours and overtime hours for Surfside incident.
Okay.
So I used that as a calculation, and I can share that based on the hours, 63% of the hours were regular time hours, 37% is overtime hours. So when we do the split based on the scenario that we have in the RFP, Thompson would be expensive.
All right, and I appreciate that, but obviously Surfside and hurricanes are a little different. But I do know that during Irma, we were going around the clock with the debris also. But what you're saying is the reason we don't have those numbers is because since it was a flat rate, we didn't quantify it as overtime.
Right. So even for the Surfside, and I think we pay the flat rate. They may be docking their hours for regular and overtime, but our rate for both of those categories is a flat rate reimbursement or payment to Tetra Tech.
So this agreement was also used for Surfside.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner from District 6, you're recognized.
Thank you. Have a question because there's an IO that is over this type of RFP, correct? I don't know if this is for the director. The IO establishes a time frame for evaluation. And how long was the evaluation time frame for this RFP for the committee?
Commissioner, proposals were shared in January, and the evaluations were held in February, so about a month and a half.
Okay,
month.
so it's
I would
30
say.
days.
Yes.
But then there's other information in the back of the item that says that the evaluation could not be held within the 30-day window. So are we violating the IO?
Commissioner,
I also
sometimes
have
the
a
committee
question.
is not able to meet within the 30-day window that we have from the last check that we do. So yes, if that happens, then we don't comply with the 30-day deadline.
And what does that mean for the RFP?
So no, what it means is the committee members, because if it's because of some committee members, they don't get the administrative leave. Like in this case, 4 people got it. That was a resolution adopted by the board, so they get.
So I have a question because it says there was 4 committee members, right?
There were 5. Actually, 4 of them complied with all of the deadlines. The 5th one did not. So the 5th one did not get the.
But 3 were replaced, and 1 was included initially, but then had to be removed because they were no longer employed by the county. So did we have the same evaluation committee the entire time, or did you have to change them out? It says it here on page 6 of the item. We're under other information. So can you clarify what happened with the committee?
Oh, so because so Commissioner, by the time we established the committee and got to the evaluation, I think 1 member had left, and then there was 2 members because of scheduling. We could not get them together, so we replaced them. So basically, everybody got the opportunity to review the proposals in a timely manner, like 30-day window.
Were there different? Was it a different group of people initially reviewing and were
No,
later?
no.
It was
the same groups got information. Yes.
The same 5 or 4?
Same 5.
Reviewed the entire time, but they were not able to complete it within the 30-day required window.
That is correct.
Okay. So to the attorneys, did that have any impact on the legality of the RFP?
No, Commissioner.
No, doesn't matter. Okay,
No.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So, Commissioner from District 1, are you going to wrap this up, or should I mean, I'm like running on fumes here, but I'll get a second wind. Do you want to bring this home, or should I bring it home?
I don't have a lot to say. I think it's confusing that we have.
Okay, we got others, so we're not bringing it home.
We have, what is it, price requirements in a solicitation, but then an IO that says if you don't comply, you're still not responsive. It's not non-responsive. So I think that's kind of, I don't know that we should be able to deviate in that way. So if something says something in the solicitation, I think the solicitation should govern whether something's responsive. And so we haven't done it in this instance, so it's not really relevant, but probably something we need to take a look at. That type of latitude, having an exception that invalidates the rule, is probably means that you don't have a rule. So I don't know that we knew that existed in that way before this moment, but I'm certain it's not going to exist in that way for much longer.
All right, I got Commissioner Bermudez, Bastien, and the Vice Chair.
I have two questions, and I agree with Commissioner Gilbert on, I don't know why we have rules if it turns out that we don't follow them, but I'm still confused, if I may ask, Mr. Chair, on is there a possibility that Tetra Tech will charge us for overtime or not? No. There's no possibility that they'll charge us for overtime. Okay. And then the second thing is on the bid protest, this is for the attorneys, assuming there's a decision made today and either party has an issue, what can they do, if anything?
There's no longer a protest period in play, Commissioner. Any party's welcome to seek whatever remedy they think they're entitled to in circuit court, and we would defend the action of this board and see what happens.
Okay. And then I guess the last thing would be, well, two more things. Number one would be, and Commissioner Lopez is not here now, but when she asked a yes and no answer, it was very difficult to get a yes or no answer, which is what complicates it. But I agree with Commissioner Gilbert in the sense that, you know, and I know there's so many procurement ordinances that it baffles the mind. This, you know, some of the answers that have been provided today have really confused everyone on this process. At least I'm confused. I'm like, you know, and maybe because the answers are nebulous, maybe because, but I think that we need to do something with our procurement process that everything is as clear and as transparent as possible. Because I just think this has led to more questions than before. But that's all I can say, you know. I don't even know, and Commissioner Gilbert, I think, was right. If it says don't include this, then you include that, then you're not responsive. But that's why we're here, I guess.
Commissioner Bastien.
Thank you so
Y'all
much.
can put your hand down, because I'm
Commissioner Bermudez, you're not the only one confused. I'm also confused, and I think probably we're all confused. And Mr. Chair, it's going to be very difficult for me to vote on this item today. So my proposal to you is whether you should consider a best and final offer for Thompson Consulting and Tetra Tech. You know, and so that we can ensure that we receive a competitive offer from both. I'm really hesitant to move forward today with the recommendation without comparing apples to apples. And the more I hear the responses from administration, the more confused I get. So, Mr. Chair, would you consider that? Best and final offer from the two.
Thank you, Commissioner Bastien. I don't want to recognize any of you two. You both already went. Well, the Vice Chair hasn't gone, actually, so Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, I didn't have an opportunity to see this item before, so this is my first time. So listening to the discussion going back and forth, I just now want to hear from the Thompson representative if they can come up and give some clarity and give their position, if that's okay. Or hear from both. Both sides would be great.
You're recognized.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Hoyle, President of Thompson Consulting Services, 2601 Maitland Center Boulevard, Maitland, Florida. To my knowledge, there is no reference in the RFP at all related to overtime not being allowed. We've pored over it, looked over it, and, you know, the reality is when you get a singular rate, the proposer is building overtime cost into that rate. Now, it's very likely that they're going to assume a high amount of overtime that they would need, when in actuality they may need less. So I think it's important to note that that argument kind of goes both ways. The other important on the $0 issue, the Addendum 2 clearly said that you cannot have $0 as a bid item. We were provided Tetra Tech's original proposal yesterday, and there was no zero bid items, which was what got them to their original $3.66 million. They were then able to, through a negotiation, reduce that to $3.36 million, but that reduction came because they were able to $0 bid a position. And obviously the intent of the no $0 bid is so that they can evaluate this, apples to apples. So I think it's important to understand that there is a $0 bid in the schedule that's being considered by the county, which is in direct violation or direct conflict, at least, with the county's procurement Q&A. So on behalf of Thompson Consulting Services, we've done $5.5 billion worth of this work on behalf of 390 government entities, longstanding track record. It's all in our proposal. I don't think the qualifications are at hand here. I think it's more a matter of this price form. And I think, though some competitors in this process may have challenges with managing overtime, it's something that Thompson has done routinely. It's something we're familiar with. In instances where there's a hurricane, we talked about Irma, the residents that would be working on this contract would be impacted by that disaster. And so to say that they could work 80 hours a week and still meet with their insurance agents and still take care of their children that aren't in school and things of that nature is probably not realistic. And so I know there was a scenario that was floated. That scenario showed the number of overtime hours that you would have to work in order to get to an equivalency. And it was like 40% of the total hours, which is high. I think if you evaluate that analysis. I think it's also important, they used reduced negotiated rates for 2 positions of 12 to show that cost differential in the letter that you received yesterday. So their analysis included 2 of 12 rates, and it was the 2 that had a favorable impact.
Let me stop you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. So listen, and here's, I'm just getting to the core of the issue here in front of us. How is it that this item was flushed out in the policy committee, and then it comes here, and it's almost as if you guys are preaching your positions to us to then question the procurement side of this ordeal? It's kind of, I'm not going to say confusing, but it's almost as if there was a side of this equation that was never anticipated or discussed, that now it's coming before me for the first time and asking me to get in the middle of a food fight and make a determination based on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. And I'm sure that when Tetrick stepped to the podium and give its position, it's going to possibly say, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. But if the policy committee has already vetted this, and it was vetted by the procurement side of it, and the agreement now is, based on this legislation, is to give it to Thompson, then what are we arguing about, and why is it so confusing and convoluted at this particular juncture, right before the full BCC?
And is that a question for me?
I just needed to be answered to help me out. Help me help everybody. That's what I'm asking.
So the proposals were reviewed by the committee. They scored the proposals. Thompson actually filed an objection to the scoring based on the way that they didn't use a formula to award points for price. They just arbitrarily assigned points, said, Thompson gets X number. But so we filed an objection there, and it was dismissed. Just got an email back saying that it was dismissed. This item then went to Policy Council, and they evaluated the true cost difference of these contracts that were being put forward and made that ruling. So I'm here at the request. Procurement sent me an email that said that Policy Council had reviewed our contract differently, and so that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you, sir. And the Vice Chair has indicated he's done with his questions, but I'd like Tetra Tech to, of course, approach the opportunity to kind of give us a 1 minute, 2 minute.
Jonathan Burgel, Business Unit President for Disaster Recovery for Tetra Tech, 4101 Gulf of Mexico Drive, Longboat Key. Commissioners, Chairman, Mayor, we bid on probably 150 of these projects a year. Most of them, 99% of them, require a single rate as specified in your RFP, all costs included. We did exactly that. All the other proposers on this RFP did exactly that, except for Thompson. Only 1 or 2 a year do we see where a client says, we want you to specify your rates and charge. You can also offer a time and a half rate. Thompson recently has been adding these types of little footnotes as a way to lower their pricing on a rate table, and that's exactly what happened in this circumstance. I've been managing work for the county for 21 years now, since 2005, all the way back to Katrina and Wilma. I've been on the site, working in the EOC, working with your solid waste department, 14-hour days, months upon months. And on average, we've, during Irma, it was about 34, 35%. You heard Surfside from Namita, it was about 37%. So it's pretty common to pay folks overtime. 95, 97% of our staff are hired locally from your community. They appreciate the overtime because those are people that have lost their jobs because of the storm. They can't go to work. They come to work for us, and they want to work the overtime. They work on average 60, 65 hours a week. They work 10 or 11 hours a day. They have to show up at 6:30 in the morning, work till about 5:30, 6:30 in the evening, and they want to work that 6th and 7th day. Okay? 35% is a good number. It could be somewhere between 30 and 50. In this case, we have actual data to prove it. And we'd be happy to share that with you. We've invoiced you in the past. You can look at actually the invoices, add up the hours for every single one of the 500 employees worked during Irma, and you will see the exact same results that we tabulated as well. But the point I'm making is, we're a very reputable firm. We've done very good work for you. We've filed paperwork for you for years now, helped you get reimbursed for several $100 million of reimbursable expense. Obviously, there's still some outstanding because the state continues to do their audits of work, but that's not our issue. We've done a very good job. We consider ourselves a very close partner to the county. We'd like to continue that relationship. We believe that the procurement was done appropriately. We scored very well technically. I would argue on the pricing issue, if they had factored in the overtime, then our estimate would be the pricing would be a little bit more expensive for Thompson, actually. But what you are getting from us is 20 years of dedicated experience and success in getting recovery, as some of the commissioners have pointed out, that we've done very good work for you in the past. And we understand the concerns about pricing. We did negotiate down some rates during the negotiation session, which lowered the gap that we saw before, adjusting for Thompson's time and a half, was about $400,000, not $1 million that I heard during the committee video that I watched. And when you factor in the 35% overtime, certainly they're going to be more expensive than us. So, I'm trying to clear things up for you. There's a lot of smoke here. We're a very reputable firm. We've always responded. We hire people quickly. We had to manage 33 contractors after Katrina Wilma with 700 trucks, 6 contractors with 500 trucks, and we helped you get that work done and have the stores back open, the roads back open very rapidly, and we want to do that for you again in the future. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right, I need to bring this in for landing. So a few things. We need to make a decision today. This contract expires June 30th. We're in the middle of hurricane season, so we need to make a decision. I suspect that maybe we can extend the existing contract 30 days or so, but ideally, this item went to committee. It was discussed. We didn't have all the questions answered there because we know why. It was said already. And this item moved forward with a recommendation from committee. It followed the process. It was not bypassed. This body doesn't have to vote on that recommendation, doesn't have to support that recommendation, but there is a recommendation before us, which is, of course, to support and move forward with Thompson. I've done the math every which way. I've done the girl math, I've done Miami math, I've done the math, I've done all the maths. And on a bad day, with all these reductions that Tetra Tech has now done, Thompson's still about 6% less expensive. If you add up all the stuff and do other math, they're somewhere between 25 and 30% less expensive. So I stand by the decision that came out of Policy Council. So the way I see it to start wrapping this thing up is one of two things. We either do what Commissioner Bastien said on the record, a baffle, and we could try to extend their existing contract for 30 days, have them negotiate with both companies, or the option of what we've done on this dais several times, which is splitting the baby. We're a large enough county that we can split the baby. And if they both agree to it, that's an option that we can discuss here today. I feel extremely comfortable on qualifications for both companies. They both have a great history. They're both reputable. In fact, it was outlined, and I think the attorneys alluded to that in Policy Council, some of Thompson's leadership team actually came from Tetra Tech. So I have the utmost respect and confidence in both of these companies. So I'm willing to hear from those that are still having, but we need to start wrapping this up and we need to make a decision. This item went to committee.
Through the chair.
Four of you, in addition with me, were in that committee. So we need to start moving forward and stop funding something that we have the information in front of us. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I understand it, there really was not discussion at Policy Council because for whatever reason that our staff was not present at the moment and it passed very quickly. That's what I understood. But as far as any legalities, we have to defer to the attorneys on that because obviously there are restrictions when it comes to FEMA funding and other things. So I would suggest that we just get an opinion from the attorneys before you proceed with other options.
I agree, and I think the attorneys should chime in for sure. I think if we go into a baffle, there's complications with that as well. Not that we can't do it, but there's complications with it as well, and it may come back as a bid waiver at that point, right? So in the absence of a baffle, I'm willing to hear from all of you, but I'm prepared to make a decision. I'll start with Commissioner Regalado.
Thank you. It's very concerning to me that we're turning into like a selection committee. This is happening a lot. The reason we have selection committees and we have recommendations is so that we're not put in this position. We can't do a baffle because then it comes back in a way that threatens the FEMA recommendation. But I also think that splitting the baby is not appropriate either, because in terms of accountability, when there is a disaster, it's going to be different, right? We need, the reason that historically we've had one company do all of it is so that we don't have a logistical issue and we don't have finger pointing. So I'm comfortable with the committee's original recommendation. I'm happy to make that motion. I think that because this is FEMA, I think that we should stick with the selection committee. I don't think that we need to get involved. I think it's been explained to us, the difference in the pricing. Time and time again, when we've done this, there's been overtime. We could sit here and quibble about if it was responsive or not responsive, but at the end of the day, we asked for a flat rate, we got a flat rate, and the selection committee picked the ones that gave us a flat rate. I'm all for saving money, but in this situation, whatever we save may end up costing us more in terms of FEMA. So are we really saving money? I don't see a reason to change staff's recommendation. So I'm happy to move the item with staff's original recommendation and not policy council's recommendation.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for Thompson. You said that there was nowhere in the RFP that said only flat rates were required,
Correct.
but you heard what was read on the microphone by our administration regarding the RFP written such that flat rates were required.
No, I didn't hear that. I did hear the reading of the clause in the RFP that talks about proposing alternative
Okay,
approaches
fair,
to delivery,
fair.
and that it would
That's
be
exactly what I
dealt
was
with in
concerned about.
negotiation,
Okay.
which is exactly what we footnoted. It was
That's fair.
outlined in the RFP.
Yeah, I understand. That makes perfect sense. So your footnote said, and I quote, "The hourly rates proposed herein are applicable to regular time hours worked by an employee in a work week. Employee hours worked beyond 40 regular time, parens overtime, at employee option shall be charged at 1.5 times the proposed rate." That's your footnote.
Correct.
Okay, so my question to you is, did you do what has been alleged, i.e. lower your rates in your bid proposal, i.e. yielding an $800,000 perceived savings with the intention of bumping up the rates via overtime, which is exactly what your footnote and your caveat says? Because what I'd like to know is, I want savings, we all want savings. The administration has already said, if we were to negotiate with you, we're disregarding that because it runs afoul of the black and white language of the RFP. So my question to you is, can you do the work at the rates that are bid exclusive of any consideration of overtime?
The rates that we proposed are necessarily lower than a blended rate because we essentially said, you'll pay us for the work that we do. If it's inside 40 hours, you pay us a lower rate. If it's over, we pay the employee more, you pay us more. So it's the most direct way, and contrary to what you heard, we're also seeing that this is more and more the way these contracts are being issued because it directly aligns the cost of providing the service with the service that's being delivered.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask the question again.
Yep.
Are you on the record today representing that you can perform the work at the rates that you bid originally, completely disregarding and eliminating your footnote and your caveat regarding charging time at 1.5 times the proposed rate for overtime?
For us to do that, we would operate with no employees working any overtime. We would just work 40 hours a week.
Okay, but that's not practicable though, because we know that in disaster recovery and relief, our historical data shows that 38% of the time worked is overtime.
And we have delivered these programs operating on shifts where employees can have a reasonable work week where the overtime doesn't have to be. That's the convenient way for a consultant to deliver this work, is just to hire one employee and work them 80 hours a week. But you could just as easily hire 2 employees and work them each 40 hours a
Okay,
week.
but that's why I'm asking the question. I understand that explanation in that you're going to add, I guess, additional employees to not yield overtime, but then wouldn't that change your numbers? Because you would then necessarily need to hire more staff. So I'm giving you an opportunity here, and I hope you recognize that, because it's your RFP. You gave numbers that are substantially lower than the incumbent, right? For project manager, the incumbent bid $95 an hour. You bid $75 an hour. For a data clerk, the incumbent bid $75 an hour. You bid $32 an hour. And then you put that caveat that said that's only for 40 hours. Anything over 41 hours, you're now charging, in your own words, 1.5 times the proposed rate. My question is a simple one. Can you do the work at just the bid rate that is substantially lower than the incumbent and completely disregard anything regarding 1.5 times the proposed rate? Can you do the work at your original bid price and disregard the footnote and the caveat? It's a yes or a no.
The answer is I can do the work for the rate that I proposed as long as we're offered overtime in the event that it's needed. I mean,
So I think, so, sir, I think you're a terrible presenter.
okay.
Terrible. But I understand what you're saying. It makes sense. But either you're not understanding the question or you're not explaining yourself right. So I think you need to reset. This has happened here before. I recognize that standing at the podium is intimidating, even for executives and business owners and CEOs. I recognize that. You need to reset, because what you're saying is what the commissioner is trying to get to. It's the same thing. You guys are saying the same thing. You really are. But you're explaining it so complex that you're about to lose this for yourself.
Okay.
Because you're just explaining it so complex. You're saying what she's saying. You're just saying it so complicated that you're about to just you're confusing everybody.
Okay.
You're confusing everybody.
I apologize.
So do you want to reset, and do you want to continue your line of questioning or go to the next person? Or are you done, Commissioner? Or?
You're half breath. I'll let you finish, because this is, listen, we have disasters in Miami-Dade County, okay? We have disasters in Miami-Dade County. We also have a budget crisis in Miami-Dade County. We need competent professionals that know what they're doing, and I agree with our chairman. I have no questions regarding Thompson's ability to do the work. I am questioning your pricing by your own language included in the bid. And as the chairman stated, we're making a decision today. This is not going to get bumped down the road. My question, I've asked you 3 times the same question, and you have answered, yes, we can do it so long as we either staff up or we're going to include overtime.
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct. And we
Thank
can
you.
do it either, we can operate this with minimal overtime or no overtime.
Okay. Commissioner Steinberg.
Thank you. I appreciate the line of questioning, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, and I understand where the Policy Council kind of brought forward their kind of perspective on things. But I guess I'm going to bring a different perspective to this. As I listened to the conversation, I actually went from, okay, listen, we're going to save money. Well, the FEMA reimbursement is what we're really talking about, right? It's not necessarily, we have the outlay, whichever company we give it to, up to X amount. Then it becomes a FEMA reimbursement. So we want to make sure that first and foremost, whatever company that we award to is eligible to, get that FEMA reimbursement. And now we're dealing with a situation where, as I think Commissioner Cohen-Higgins just said, we do deal with disasters. That's a big issue. And residents will be calling us, or whoever is sitting up here in the future, when we have an issue and they can't get home because there's debris blocking the road, and they want it done fast, and they want the power lines picked up and the debris from everywhere. And that's just a normal, terrible storm like Irma. Wasn't an actual hurricane, but it was a very high debris producing storm. We did have Surfside, which was an unimaginable devastation. And we had a company that actually worked and was reliable during those events with the county. So I do think we need to be very smart here. I don't want to go back to the sarcasm conversation, but I will say that we need to be looking at our partners, and are they doing a good job, and can we rely on them, and what future disasters could happen. They're giving us the whole pricing. They're giving it to us all in. They're not hiding the ball. They're saying this is what it's going to cost, so we know full well. And so when we do those FEMA reimbursements, we know how to identify and why it's being justified and why we're going to get those reimbursements back, because at the end of the day, we work very closely with our federal partners to ensure that we're all helping our residents. So I think I agree with Commissioner Regalado for the first time today. No, I'm kidding. Listen, the clock strikes, no, I'm kidding. No, but I think in this situation, while I really, really appreciate where the Policy Council was on this, I do think we need a known entity. This is something that we really need to really focus on. I can't worry about the unknowns. The disaster is an unknown already. I need to have reliability. And so if that's the staff recommendation, and that's who came in first technically, I think we really need to give that weight. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bastian, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. It's a difficult situation to be in. And listening to you, Commissioner Steinberg, I'm concerned about the message that we are sending to the business community too. And what we think about our procurement process, right? Mr. Chair indicated that this item was discussed at the policy committee and then it passed. But the question I'm asking while listening to Commissioner Steinberg is that if the if both companies went to the procurement process, one of them scored higher, staff selected the one that scored higher. Why wasn't that honored? Why did we have to start over? And it is confusing because and then most importantly, the other company did not file a complaint, right, after the procurement process. So I would tend to side with Commissioner Steinberg and Commissioner Regalado that we must honor the company that went through the process and then submitted a proposal and then was rated much higher. That's what especially since there wasn't any complaint filed by the other party, the other entity. It would be very hard for me to vote for the item that is in front of us in light of all that I've heard during this process, Mr. Chair, and then some of the comments that I've heard.
And I agree, Commissioner Bastian. My issue with it is the following. My issue is that the whole point of committee is to iron these things out. And if staff was not available to answer these questions in committee, and there was confusion and clearly a ton of questions on this, and now we have done the opposite of what committees intended to do. We have spent hours on this in the full board instead of having ironed all this out in committee, because whether it was justified, as Commissioner Cohen-Higgins stated, that she had an excusable, like someone from the director's office or from procurement should have been there in committee knowing that this item was up. And we would have discussed that then. The fact is that I have all sorts of issues. Thankfully, we have STRIP coming our way, and we'll be addressing a lot of this. But I have a ton of issues with the fact that you go and negotiate with the top bidder before it gets to, between the bid proposal and the time that it gets to our first committee. So we're now not seeing apples to apples. We're seeing on one end, the second, third place, fourth place bidder, we're seeing their bid numbers, but on the first place winner, we're seeing their negotiated numbers. So I don't know if I'm the only one seeing a disparity there or how that's not apples to apples, but I agree that we should negotiate with everyone, absolutely, to get the best rate for the county, which is what I think this dialogue has been about. At least the ones that have been advocating for the cheaper number. Because at the end of the day, this is all reimbursable by FEMA, but we got to upfront the cost. I asked a question that I haven't gotten an answer on yesterday, is how much of the IRMA reimbursable dollars are we still pending? And I asked to have an answer by today. I haven't received that answer.
Through the chair. I know that we've provided some updates in writing. I don't know what the most recent report was. There were still some dollars pending. Is it possible that somebody could confirm for me that the state received some funding, but we hadn't received it locally? I don't know if anyone has that information. But I know we did receive the bulk of the funding. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, we don't have emergency. I don't know if Maggie Steenberg knows, can find out. She's here on behalf of Department of Emergency Management. Or Ray Baker, can you answer that question?
We don't have the final numbers.
And how about our Office of Management and Budget? Can we get an update on that?
They don't have the answer, right?
They don't have the answer. And let me just add something, Mr. Chair, if I could. You know, the process that is engaged in is the same, that when we get a number one bidder, we still try to get a better price. Mr. Chair, Namada Upal's process in general is when we have a top bidder, we go back and we still try to get a better price, which is what she did here. So that is the normal process. So nothing unusual about that. If sometimes we're directed to negotiate with more than one, and we do that, and then we bring back the, I guess, best and final. For reasons here, because of the federal rules, that apparently is not permissible in this particular case. So, you know, our procurement process led to the selection of the top bidder, and our department stands by that recommendation. Unfortunately, as you said, there was not a staff representative, as my understanding was that the meeting was over very quickly. There was no time allotted to give someone the benefit that they could show up, and I'm very sorry that that happened. We would have preferred a deferral on this item, of course, so that we could have had a full discussion in committee.
I mean, look, the meeting was quick, but they should have just been on time.
That was gonna be my, what the?
I mean, the meeting went quick, but they should have just been on time. But, so, can the attorneys walk me through what the issue with negotiating with both, i.e. a baffle, or call it what you need to call it? What's the issue with that?
The solicitation documents don't currently provide for a best and final offer process. So you'd have to do a bid waiver to create that, essentially, to comply with your obligations under state law. The FEMA reimbursement requirements require that the proposals be awarded on a competitive basis and consistent with the federal procurement requirements. And so there is a chance that even though your BAFO is still competitive, right, you'd still have two people competing on price, that the vehicle we'd have to use to get there, the bid waiver, that FEMA would deem that to be inconsistent with federal obligations and therefore say you're ineligible for reimbursement. So I think you need to confirm that with FEMA before going down that path to ensure reimbursability.
Got it. And you can ask, go ahead.
So could we just put in all of our solicitations the option for us to do a BAFO between the top two bidders? That way, giving us the opportunity to actually still stay within the solicitation, but if this board wanted to actually get a best and final offer at any time?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, maybe that should be the policy. Maybe we should have in our solicitations going forward through strategic procurement a BAFO option built in so that if we wanted to do that, we could in fact do that and still be within the four walls of that solicitation.
Bid waiver, though.
So once we built it into the bid, it would no longer be a waiver. So that's what they're saying, right?
And future solicitations,
And
yes.
future solicitations, so it would no longer be, so maybe just from a policy perspective, maybe we ought to probably consider doing that, Mayor.
And thank you. And through the chair, the question that was asked previously of Namada about whether all of those were eligible under the FEMA rules, and to Commissioner Lopez's question, as was explained to me by Namada Upal, it's really the process that the FEMA is looking for, integrity in the process, not so much a particular eligibility. So by deviating from the process, therefore, we could run afoul of the FEMA eligibility. Commissioner Lopez, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
All right. So our options are very limited. We either take a vote on one today, which I think we potentially are prepared to do. We can defer it, and the incumbent would have to agree to extending their existing contract, because they certainly don't want to leave the county without coverage in the middle of hurricane season. I don't know. The board's will. I because I've done these numbers, I've had discussions on this 10 times. I know that despite the overtime, Thompson is still less expensive, and we're talking about even a 5-6% on the low end, a 5-6% on these numbers is actually not that impactful. But the estimate that the county administration actually said that we should be looking at is about a $200 million expense, $190 million. And on that, it could be from $15 million to $30, $40 million savings, which while it's FEMA reimbursed, we're coughing that up at the beginning. So that's a real savings. That said, I can go in either direction now. You see you standing up, sir. I don't know what you want to approach. No, go ahead.
I think that there's also the ability to just take the proposals as they are and run a scenario on the full rate schedule. What you saw was 2 of 12 positions and the impact that that overtime would have, not the full. Thompson, any way that you run the math on it, is still 6% cheaper. It's a lower cost proposal.
I've done the math, and I know you're right, but you've done a lousy job at explaining that on this board, and you get like 60 seconds of fame. Yep. You kind of didn't. If you were on The Voice or on one of these shows, you would have been X'd out by the Voice host and the judges. But I know that's why it's frustrating, because at the end of the day, and the reason I asked about the reimburse, because both of you guys, both companies you indicated to me at one point that your reimbursement rate is 100%, and Tetra Tech also said similar. They said 99 point something. But over what time? Because we still have IRMA funds that are outstanding, and I just heard the representative from Tetra Tech say, well, they're still, because the state is having issues, but that's not our issue. Well, no, it is your issue. It is absolutely your issue. The fact that 9 years ago,
The monies get reimbursed to the state and then the state to the county. We don't control that.
so has
Between the state and federal.
you guys get paid as we get paid, or are all the services for IRMA already been paid to Tetra Tech? Like, I don't know how this business works. I'm not saying you did it right or wrong. How does it work? Explain that to me.
Chairman,
You're recognized.
we have been paid. We are very good at what we do. We cannot control what the state does. They do 100% audit of the files. They have several accounting firms, big 6 accounting firms, doing audits. All of the clients across Thompson's, ours, others, are waiting on money. I can't speak for why the state does what they do, but it's not because of our paperwork. Understand, we get a very good paperwork.
And thank you for that. And I assume that the same goes for Thompson. They also alleged the same 100% return rate, reimbursement rate. So I mean, it's not one better than the other. But the reality is, I don't know where you guys get those percentages from, because the fact that we're still waiting 9 years for IRMA, and I'm sure that your company has similar scenarios in other contracts, because to his point, if it's the state, it's the state. I don't know where you guys get that, but is there a way for either contract, and I don't know what the standard in the industry is that you guys get paid as we get reimbursed? Like, is that a norm because what's the incentive that you guys have to follow up with all of this and push the state
The issue
to
is
draw down these funds?
federal procurement won't allow you to enter into a contingency contract that says you'll only pay
Figured that'd be the
me
answer.
if they pay you, because you're making them party to it. On your other question about the reimbursement rates, FEMA issues formal de-obligations for work that wasn't done properly. And those are essentially the scorecard for debris monitor or hauler. So when we say we have 100% reimbursement, there's no de-obligations or findings from the federal government that the work was insufficient.
Yeah, I figured that would be the answer. All right, I'm ready to take action here, Madam Mayor.
Through the chair, you asked for information on FEMA reimbursements from IRMA,
Yes, ma'am, please.
and we do have some data.
Okay, do you want to? Is it?
It was from March, so we issued a report to you because we issue periodic updates. We don't have since March. I don't know if we've received any since then. We have received some.
Through the chair, I'm happy to share with you what's in the March 20th report.
Can you just get it to my office?
Okay, we'll send it to your
I need
office, no
to-
problem.
Yeah, I should with them now, but get it to me, please. Because I asked for that yesterday. I should have probably had it before the meeting. We're not even done with the poll list yet. Almost, but not quite yet. All right, so what are we doing?
I have a motion.
Well, there's a motion by Commissioner Regalado to move forward with the selection committee's recommendation, right? Right?
Yes.
Which is Tetra Tech, the incumbent.
Yes.
We have a second by Commissioner Steinberg. I know had seconded it already. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show 3 nays. Show 3 nays, 4 nays. The item passes. All right, congratulations. All right, 14B2. Commissioner from District 8. All right, 15B1. Commissioner from District 7. You're recognized.
This is just for an amendment, if the attorneys could read it. Don't worry, I got it. Commissioner Regalado moves, 1, suspend the board's rule of procedure and waive committee review and the 4-week, 6-week municipal notice requirement as to item 4A, Legistar number 261016, amend item 15B1 to schedule the public hearing and second reading item 4A at the July 21st, 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting. 3, direct the agenda coordinator to send the appropriate municipal notices, and 4, direct the clerk of the board to publish all necessary notices relating to this item.
I'll second it.
Move it. Thank you.
I got
All
a
right.
question.
It's been moved, it's been seconded. Commissioner Bermudez, you're
Yeah,
recognized.
I just wanted to be clear, Commissioner Regalado, it's only for Key Biscayne, is that correct?
Only for Key Biscayne.
Okay, perfect. I'll support it. I just want to remind everybody, I've been banned in Boston. I've never been on the policy committee. Thank you.
Hilarious.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show that item passed. 14B2, Commissioner from District 8, are you in the chamber?
Yep. Yeah, but what's left?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I pulled this item only to ask the administration, if you recall, back in December of 2025, we made a motion directing the administration to work with all of our constitutional officers to try and gather as much information as possible, as early as possible, so that we can be best prepared going into our budget season. And then subsequently, I see on April 9th, our administration sent all of our constitutional officers very detailed letters asking for those pieces of documents and information. And I would just like to know from the administration how that has been going as we prepare for the budget coming up in just a couple of months.
Through the chair, Ray Baker, Director of OMB, will answer.
Mr. Chairman. So good afternoon. So far, we have received 4 of the 5 constitutional budgets as required. May 1st, we received the sheriff, clerk, election supervisor, and then June 1st, we received the property appraiser budget. So far, we have the required information from 3 of the 4. We are pending the sub-object level from the sheriff, and we have been making multiple requests to get the level of detail that's required by state law for us to do the level of analysis that we need on that budget. Yep.
That was it, Mr. Chair. I pulled the item just because I wanted to know whether or not our constitutionals were working with us pursuant to the motion that we made at the end of December so that we can best prepare going into budget season. And I'm happy to move the item. Thank you.
Second.
So the item moved and seconded. Commissioner Steinberg, you're recognized.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I just want to know, when are we getting our mid-year budget?
It is running behind. We are going to try to push it to the July 21st BCC meeting. It is kind of starting to overlap with the budget process. So I'm not really sure how much of a point there is at this time to even bring it to the board. Because I don't think there's anything of consequence in there at this point in time that we couldn't otherwise accomplish in the budget proposal and in the 26-27 budget.
All right, let's move it along.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. I believe that was our last pulled item. Any other on the pull list?
Mr. Chair, you have the addition of the.
Do I have any other on the pool list though, or no? No?
completes the-
Okay, so then can you guide us through? I have some walk-ons for the CBA agreements. Do I need to open up reasonable opportunity for these?
Yes, Chair.
All right, so reasonable opportunity is, we're on the CBA, I think there's 6 or 7 CBA items that are being walked on to the dais now. So we are opening up reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard. I have no speaking card, so reasonable opportunity for the if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the CBA specifically, you're welcome to approach the well. Seeing none, reasonable opportunity is now closed. Yes, Jess.
Just to read to the record, this is 14A6 through 14A12.
Yes, which are the CBAs agreements. All right, Commissioner Gilbert, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize to you and my colleagues for this being late. We're trying to get this done as soon as possible. It was delayed. We have members of different collective bargaining units that are in the audience right now. This basically maintains the status quo, does not contemplate the financial aspects of collective bargaining. That's going to be pending what happens with the property tax relief that folks will be voting on. I have a motion that actually would go with this also, and as Commissioner Gilbert moves to direct the county mayor and the county manager designate to negotiate a memorandum of understanding which each of the county's collective bargaining units referenced in legislative numbers 261082, 261083, 261084, 261085, 261086, 261087, and 261090. And that is agenda items 14A6 through 14A12, to provide that the collective bargaining agreements would not get reopened by the parties for the purpose of negotiating wages, overtime compensation, cost of living adjustments, or pay supplements for fiscal years 2026, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29 until January 1st, 2027. And this just moves the reopen date from November in the item by memorandum of understanding, so they don't have to go back to their collective bargaining units, to January, which is basically a month. And so I think that that's agreeable with the collective bargaining units, it's agreeable with the administration. And with that, I would amend my item, and I would propose this be amended to all the items, and I'd move them forward.
Second.
All right, it's been moved as amended. Seconded. Commissioner Bermudez, you may lead.
Yeah, and Commissioner Gilbert, thank you, Mr. Chair. Two things, because when I get something like this late, I feel like I'm in Dante's Inferno, the poem. But, you are, and I'm going to trust you, you're saying that the unions are fine with this, the way it's being presented. Is that correct?
Yes, and the moving around, they're all nodding back in there in the reflectors. They're nodding.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the moving around is so that they don't have to take this back to their body. We're doing the amendment via a memorandum of understanding between us and the collective bargaining units. We are not amending the actual document,
Correct.
the actual CBA, so that we know that we're not going to reopen negotiations until January 1st, which is approximately a month after the middle of November deadline when we would have. So the union's okay with that. They're nodding yes. The administration's okay with that. They're nodding yes. It's been very difficult to get this done. I'd appreciate everybody's support.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure because, I think that they work very hard on these collective bargaining agreements, and I don't want them to, it's just, and I know it's January. By that time, we should know any of these questions we need answered. So, okay, that was my question.
Commissioner Orbis, were you? No? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These collective bargaining agreements speak nothing to what is missing from these collective bargaining agreements. The reopener is for the purpose of negotiating and discussing what?
Through the chair, what's missing is any changes to the financial obligation that the county would have to bear. So for all intents and purposes, it's flat. We did not give any increases, nor are there any decreases reflected. What we did negotiate was reopening the contracts after the November election related to property tax. And so what the commissioner is proposing is that we don't start any conversations about the financials until the calendar year 2027.
Okay, so these maintain the status quo until January of 2027, specifically in the area of the financials.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And quick question to the administration. This would not include the PBA and the fire union. Is that correct?
Correct. Their contracts have not, are not due to expire at the end of the month, and we're still in conversations with those two bargaining units.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none. Madam, Mr. Attorney, can we move all these items at one time as amended? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert, would you like to move the item?
I would like to move the items just to the county. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I do want to move all the items at one time, but I want to make clear that the motion doesn't amend the item. We have to take the motion up separately so that they don't have to go back to their collective bargaining units. So let's move the items. I move the items. Seconded. All right. So once we vote on that, and then I want to take up this motion as a separate item. If that makes sense.
Okay, but just for clarification purposes only, so the motion in itself will impact the
Yes. Yes. So
these items, but you want to take the motion itself separately,
Yes.
for purposes of not having to go back to.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
All right.
So Senate item moves items second, items 14AC, items 14A7, 14A8, 14A9, 14A10, 14A11, and 14A12. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Item passes. All right, now the motion, we're taking up the motion that was submitted by Commissioner Gilbert. Do we have a second by Commissioner? Did you second? Commissioner Lopez. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Item passes. Are there any other items on this agenda, Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Vice Chair, I think we have some motions.
You have some motions?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're reading those in now.
let's start reading them.
I believe Commissioner Steinberg is going to move on behalf of Senator Garcia, an
That
appointment.
is correct. It is Senator Garcia moves to appoint Daphne Gurry to the Miami-Dade County Historic Preservation Board. I move on Commissioner Garcia's behalf.
What did my trainer say?
Yes, Senator Garcia moves, Commissioner Steinberg, Commissioner Steinberg's moving on Senator Garcia's behalf to appoint Daphne I. Gurry to the Miami-Dade County Historic Preservation Board.
And it's second by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Item passes. Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I have an appointment as well.
Okay. Commissioner Orbis?
Thank you. I'd like to appoint Theodore D. Caranzales to the Miami-Dade County Commission on Disability Issues, CODI.
Second? All in favor? All against? Item passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Hardiman moves to appoint Marilyn Orozco to MDC Commission on Disability Issues Board.
See in a second. All in favor? All against? So motion passes. Are there any other outstanding issues anyone want to put on the record now? Motion to adjourn? Move. Thank you.